Good evening, everyone. Tonight is Monday, February 11th, 2019. This is the meeting of the Town of Halifax Finance Committee. We're being recorded by Area 58. Tonight's agenda: mail, meeting minutes, budget discussion, calendar, 7:15 p.m. Water Department, 7:30 p.m. Solid Waste, 7:45 Highway Cemetery, Reserve Fund transfers, line item transfers, none. Public participation and adjournment. So first off, in the mail, we have inventory from the Municipal and School Building Committee. If anyone wants to look at that, that's their inventory list that was received today. Copy of the Beacon from the MMA, and Powers and Sullivan report on examination of basic financial statements for the Town of Halifax, and the management letter for the Town of Halifax as well. So I'll leave those here on the table for folks to review. Meeting minutes, we have one set of meeting minutes from Monday, January 14th, 2019. The members in attendance were Fred, Len, Bill, and Melinda. I'll give everyone a minute or two to review the meeting minutes. They're pretty long because we started to vote on the budget. The Finance Committee, ZBA is upstairs.
Thank you.
You can say here's up too if you want.
Excuse me. You probably want to go back and use the elevator. Just go up there so it's back.
Okay.
You go back and use the elevator?
Sure.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
ZBA or Finance Committee?
Finance.
Yeah, this is finance.
Mr. Water.
Check.
How you doing?
I'm fine with them. You guys get a chance to read through it now?
I'll entertain a motion. Oh, sorry.
Just a rogue check mark under a vacant position. Other than that, I'm fine with them as well.
What page is that on?
This very first page, the attendees.
Well, that's true. It is it was vacant, I suppose, right?
Okay.
Other than that, I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes as drafted.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Is anybody taking notes for?
Kathy's gonna watch the recording.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you want to, sign this copy?
Yes, I'd like to keep mine if all
Yeah.
possible, so.
Alright, thank you, everybody. Budget discussion, so we're still getting in, we just received the last, budget that we need with, which is highway, but, we're gonna have to get the assessment from Silver Lake, Regional before really getting to move forward on a lot of things, so, we're still sort of in the fact-finding mode right now, meeting with departments and sort of getting their, priority lists, those kinds of things. So that's where we stand right now. In terms of the calendar, because we missed last week, we did post for Wednesday the 13th. Now it looks like we won't have quorum, but anyone from the committee who can be here, if you can get here that night, that would be great, because then we can still at least meet with police, fire, and the third department I'm blanking on that we were going to meet last Monday but had to put off. It might be help. Yeah.
I can't make it Wednesday, like I said, but I
Yeah.
can talk about the, fire and police budgets tonight if we want, just quickly.
Okay.
If the chiefs are still able to come in.
Okay. So whoever can make it Wednesday, that'd be great. And even if there's only one or two of us, we can still hear stuff. Then that's fine. We just can't actually vote on anything. We won't have a meeting Monday 2/18 because of the holiday, and then Monday the 25th we have a special town meeting. So we'll post for 6 p.m. So we'll post for an hour before special. We might have to make recommendations on the articles. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Do we, when are the, I haven't seen anything yet on those. Do we know when the warrants are coming out for the special?
I think they're going to print this week because we
Yeah, they went
wanted,
to print today.
yeah, we needed to wait until we got the bid back for the fire suppression.
Okay.
So the only thing that's, the major item that's on there is the fire suppression system.
Mm.
And the next thing, I mean, the other things are just kind of housekeeping, like we needed a little bit more money to finish the doors at the highway department or a project.
Yeah, so I think that we're going to be trying to take money, they had money left over in another article, I believe in the HVAC, so we, for the police station, so we'll use some of the leftover money from that, but we need to transfer it through town meeting.
Okay.
So there's no real new appropriations besides the fire suppression. I think there's two other articles, they escaped me right this second because I don't think that.
Town website, I think, is on there.
They did just, Charlie said he did just post the warrant, and he is up at the zoning board meeting right now, but I believe he will be coming down, and probably talk to you as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
About the fire suppression.
If it's posted, then
He,
I can take a look.
He also said that whoever's here Wednesday night, he'll also talk about fire suppression then too, because the bids just were done on Friday, right? Late Friday. Okay. In terms of looking ahead, so for the month of March, do you want to try to do what we did for February and just hold every Monday night if we can?
Yeah, Sandy, when did you say we were expected to get the Silver Lake assessment?
This Thursday.
This Thursday.
Yeah, there's.
I might suggest that you hold every Monday and Wednesday,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Because we want to go to print by the 1st of April,
Yeah.
and so you've got a lot of work to do, and you're gonna have to also talk about capital items once we prioritize the capital items. So
Yeah.
you may not need to meet both nights, but I would at least have that
Post them, yeah.
posted.
Yeah, so that would be, if you're looking at your calendars, that would be Monday, March 4th, Wednesday, March 6th, Monday, March 11th, Wednesday the 13th, Monday the 18th, Wednesday the 20th, and Monday the 25th, and Wednesday the 27th. And then that still gives us, or like a weekend essentially, to get the letter done for Kathy and I get the letter done from FinCom and have you all look at it over email at least.
Yep.
Okay. Alright, so. Reach out to Kathy for that, and then any remaining departments that we haven't met with, we'll start getting those in at the beginning of the month, obviously. Which we shouldn't have too many. Okay. Excellent. A little bit ahead of schedule. but
Are you going to the school committee meeting Thursday?
Thursday night, I think I can. Are you gonna go?
I'll be there for the back half. My son's got a play going on. It's at the school at 6. So that's about an hour. And I'm headed right over there, walking right down the hall and over.
Okay. I should be able to get there. I don't think I have anything on at school that night. What?
Yes.
What?
I don't really recognize you.
I was gonna say we should all introduce ourselves. Yeah. So we should introduce
I will.
ourselves. Yep.
I'm Keith, the water superintendent.
Lynn
This is my
Tassino.
Administrative assistant Kathy O'Neill.
Hi, nice to meet you.
I'm Melinda.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, I'm the chair.
Frederick.
Nice to meet you, Frederick.
Yeah, so we have some new faces and.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you haven't been down to the water department and seen the two facilities, I don't remember the names of them, it's really an eye-opener. What'd we spend, 3-4 hours? 2-3 hours?
Yeah, we gave you the grand tour, Bill.
Yeah, we went in a lot more details for capital reasons, but if you haven't been down there, it's worth taking a look.
Yeah. Most everybody just turns the faucet on and they get water. That's all that matters.
That's why it's an eye-opener for me. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that's how we get water. I thought it just came from this tank. Probably it is somewhere in here.
I'm just gonna pull up. Does anybody else want the hard copy?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Okay, here, then Fred and I can look at this one.
Go soon.
Yeah, I might not be able to make it. Sandy and I were talking about that.
Oh, okay.
I think you only have one capital item.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I think what we covered tonight should be sufficient, I hope. Understatement, yeah.
Just under Public Works.
Yeah, Public Works Water.
I think I've
Starts with line
been in the
93.
office 1.5 weeks out of the past 8 weeks, 7 weeks. Yeah.
I don't know if there's a summary sheet in here or not. Individual ones.
Alright, so, Public Works Water starts at line 93.
Oh, on here. Is there a summary of,
They're a little bit the sheets are a little bit out of order.
okay.
At least they were in mine, just because of the numbering, but.
Okay.
So, what we started to do basically was, to take, the existing requests and look at everything that had been level funded from last year or that had decreases. We took votes on those just to get a sense of where we stand. So we had, I think the January 14th meeting basically went through everything that was either level fund or decreasing. We just went through and approved, and not that it'll stay that way, but then that just gives us a sense of if we're going off last year, what can we expect given the things that do have movement on them in other areas. So, there were a few lines in yours that we voted to recommend just because they were, like we said, level funded or if anything, a little bit lower. We haven't gotten into anything about any of the wage lines because we're not sure.
Correct.
Yeah, because of wage and personnel.
Health insurance, wages.
Exactly.
Retirement.
Yeah, and we haven't done anything with those, and we're still gonna wait on wage and personnel for those. So anything to do with wages or anything. I think with we just had a few questions about a couple of lines that seemed to have differences over previous years, either up or down. And just to get clarification, because a lot of us, some of us are our first budget cycle, some of us are only our second, so it's just more of just for us to get a little bit more institutional history, I guess. So one line that I think some of you guys had questions on was line 97, water insurance.
Okay.
So
Insurance as health or?
no, so line 97 is 97. Oh, sorry. Yep, that is. Never mind. Look at the wrong line. Line 101, water, gas, and oil.
Okay.
Bill and Lynn, I think.
Yep.
What is the issue with that?
I think we have questions as to why there was, so the FY19 was voted at 13,750, but you only expended 4,828 in FY18. So I think the question was sort of, and it looks like we've been voting a lot more than we've been expending, so I think we were
Right.
just asking about the differential there.
I think with that is, yeah, there is a little indifference there.
Yeah.
But we never know what the cost of fuel is going to be. And if we have the money available, that's all well and good. It just doesn't get spent. It's simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree that the 13.5 is probably a little high to have available. And that's a wonderful thing that we're only using 4 of it. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Sandy, would you have
Yeah.
any input on
So
that?
if you look at FY16 and FY17, the expenditures were almost double.
Yeah.
What he spent in FY18. Truthfully, what I think happened is he maybe didn't get his second half bill from the highway department.
This past year.
Right. So I think that you're going to see the bill being, for FY19, it's probably going to be close to 10,000, but I'm not positive. So when you look at it that way, $10,000, the 1350 doesn't seem that far out. And that has been what we've been doing. I mean, as far as oil prices, I don't know. Are they going? I mean, I just hope they don't go up. That's what, every time I go to the gas station, I hope they're not higher.
I wouldn't be here, be trading futures, I suppose, if you knew what was gonna happen.
So I think that FY18 was an exception, truthfully, and I think that what we're looking at, what you should be looking at more about the 16 and 17 amounts to compare to. If you wanted to bring it down a little, you might be able to bring it down a little, but it's not going to make that much of a difference.
We are trying to downsize our vehicles to a point. Trying to get away from the heavier duty vehicles that are more expensive to run. It's a combination of things. It's, we've got, well, in the past, we've had 2 6-wheel trucks that are total gas hogs. Questionable, do we really need them? Well, back in the day, during the building boom, yes. Today, I don't feel that we need the big heavy-duty trucks like we used to. So what I'm going to request in this year is a very basic, it's a pickup truck, it is a half-ton four-wheel drive truck. They're just a better all-around vehicle for what we do. We do so much running around. They're better on fuel, cheaper on maintenance. You're buying 4 tires for them instead of 6 tires. And I just think it all adds up. It's going to help a little bit as far as maintenance and fuel goes.
If we were to lower that Sandy and came in over, it would be a line item or reserve.
It would have to be a line item transfer, because we probably wouldn't find out until June that it's coming in over, so that we could do a line item transfer on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could, if you had to. They do have their own reserve fund too, so if something happened, I mean, I can't imagine that would happen all of a sudden.
Yeah, I was just reading the other day that we're now the #1 or net exporter of gas and oil now, right? The U.S. So
I mean,
I would expect
Yeah, well,
prices
I think
to be somewhat stable, less volatile than 5 years ago.
Yeah,
I think if we wind up nickel and diamond, maybe we bring it down to like 11 or something. Again, it goes back to the assessments, but it's an item maybe we can look at.
The point of it is does it really matter? To take it down from 13.5 to 11, the money is going to stay at the water department.
Yeah, that part of it I'm not overly familiar with.
if we had to, just in a scenario, if we really had to start like making little cuts in little places, right? would that be, if we had to go from 13.5 to 11, just to save a little bit, maybe to offset some costs somewhere else?
What are
No,
we
it
saving?
won't offset.
We're not saving
It
anything.
won't, because the funding of the water.
It-
Oh,
it's
self-
enterprise
Yeah,
account.
self-enterprise, okay.
Okay.
You know, so
Yeah, doesn't matter.
we don't spend money because it's there.
Yeah,
Right.
We only spend what we need to spend.
yeah.
It's,
Their money comes from their revenues and their retained earnings. And anything left over that they don't spend goes right back into their retained earnings.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
So it's isolated, so we can't
Yeah.
borrow.
okay. I was thinking that was just the reserve that we set aside for this.
So what's the point of reviewing it then?
Well, you need to review to make sure, you know.
Right, because you're the finance committee, not just over the general fund money, you're also the finance committee over the water department.
And
So if he was asking for 50,000 and rates were gonna have to go up to get that money, then you guys are saying, well, no, let's be reasonable, you know, you don't need that much.
How are the water rates determined? Is that a annual thing, biannual?
No.
Need-based?
no, actually, we have gone up on the rates in 3 years, and we have no plans in the near future to lower the rates. Actually, we discussed it last month, our last month's meeting, and the commissioners they don't want anything to do with a rate increase, which I think is fine. What doesn't go up today, if you
Yep.
really think about it? I'm all for it. If we can operate and maintain and plan our future with what we're doing now, I'm dead set against an increase.
So it's a need-based thing? If you guys feel you need additional, then you'll
And it could be
review it?
for a project as well.
Yep,
So for
okay.
instance, I think the last time that we really looked at an increase was when we painted the, or no, we did an expansion
Yeah.
of the water lines. But, you know, going forward, I know that the water department was looking at an overall capital plan for their infrastructure.
Yeah, that's well into the wind, Kim.
Oh,
Actually, the engineering company's coming in tomorrow night,
okay,
and we're gonna start, really getting on that
yeah.
situation. It took a while, but sometimes that can be a good thing.
Yeah, sure. So as part of that, we may need, depending on what happens with the study, we may need to look at it and do some infrastructure. for water.
Would that still-
We may not have to.
That would still come out of the water budget, I
It would
presume?
still come out of that, and
Right,
also come
okay.
out of the water rates.
Right
Okay.
now, they have a very healthy retained earnings, and they've paid off all their debt
Yep.
this year.
Yep.
They paid off their band, they've paid off the water extension, it was the last year of that bond. So they're in a good place where they're able to now start building up their retained earnings so that when these future projects come up,
Yep,
they'll be able to help out quite a bit.
okay.
It's very, very uncommon, Sandy,
Yeah.
for a water department to be debt-free.
I bet.
No,
Very.
and we
I bet,
appreciate
you
it.
know,
We appreciate it.
Yeah.
But it's not gonna stay that way.
It's not gonna last.
We just
We know.
can't do that.
Right.
We're gonna have
But-
to borrow some more money at some
Exactly,
point.
when we have to
Because-
rehab the Richmond.
Yeah.
Or build a filter plant
Yeah.
for the Y,
Yeah.
those will be huge investments.
And I think that's why, I know we had the same conversation last year about line 103 Tower Wells maintenance, that it's gonna be
Yeah.
one of those where the expended amount and the subsequent years' requested amounts are always so varied because we don't know if something really goes wrong, we wanna have that cushion there,
Right.
which is why we voted to
Oh,
recommend
that's very
100,000.
important to have that.
Yeah. But then we'll have more specificity after the engineering plan comes in, it sounds like, so that it's not that we won't necessarily need to have that much money or maybe even more there, but we'll have a better idea of what we're looking at.
So I think, I'm assuming that because we don't have wage information yet, the increase in wages is ours. Do we know that?
We have an extra day this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
So one of it is the extra day, everyone's went up slightly because of that. So-
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
and we haven't, wage hasn't come out with recommendations on, increases or, I'm sorry, anything like that.
Yep. Okay, so there's really, I mean, overall, unless, well, again, anything that you're not in control of, like the wage increases or anything like that, there's nothing in here that's drastically different.
No, most of them were level funded or decreased, so.
I think this, other than the new truck request that we have, I think we've been level funded for several years now.
Yeah, the only other question I have is on the insurance line. I think we tabled that last time.
Yeah,
That's, that'll be tied to,
is that,
that'll be tied to.
personnel
yeah.
insurance, or is that like a general insurance fund?
It's not the health insurance, it's his property and liability insurance.
Okay,
And that's tied to what Charlie does, and then Charlie passes on the information to them as far as what they have to pay.
So that because we pay an overall policy,
it's like a shared,
we ask the water department, because they have a separate enterprise account, to contribute to
Okay.
that policy.
it's like a shared service account type of
Yes.
deal?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. That number, is that a Charlie number, the 6579?
Yes, he would come up with that, or Linda Cole would help come up with that number. And the other thing that we look for reimbursement for is also retirement for past employees.
Okay, which we don't have yet, I think, right? Is that still? Yeah. Okay. I don't have any more
So,
questions.
since we actually have quorum tonight, do we want to take a vote on line 101, water, gas, and oil? Fiscal year 20 request is $13,750, which is a level fund over the fiscal 19 voted amount. I'll entertain a motion on line 101, water, gas, and oil.
I'll second the motion.
You make a
I
motion?
make a motion.
Okay, we have a motion.
I'll second it.
Second, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
So that means then the only thing that remains under Public Works Water are the wage and personnel lines
And the water insurance.
And insurance.
and insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yep.
We make a motion on the insurance.
Yeah, is there an adjustment to that, or we just, Probably not, right?
The number that's in there, and then if it has to change it.
Okay.
if it's The correct number, we will have you change it, but I will vote it.
okay.
This is already a number from Charlie, right?
Yeah, it's been the same the last couple of years, so.
So line 97, water insurance, the requested amount is $60,579, which is a level fund request over fiscal year 19. Do I have a motion on line 97, water insurance?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Alright, so now we just have wage items left. Okay. Do you have any questions or anything that
I-
we can
I
answer or
don't.
anything? Okay.
Which is probably a good thing.
Do you have any questions on the warrant article that we submitted for the new truck?
That's for this?
Yeah.
Or for,
No, that's for capital plan.
Capital.
right, but for the May meeting, right, not the February one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think we're all good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you very much.
Nice to meet you all.
Nice to meet you.
Happy Thanks. Can I just say, I did find the warrant, and I do know the other article. Okay, so one, where we talked about the doors with the highway department. We also talked about, Monpont Pond, we're getting matching funds, like for, from the state, we're getting a grant to help treat the ponds. We were able to keep them open last year, so it's for $10,000 in appropriation for that. And then, the other thing, is, approval of a pilot program for the solar. And then approval for us to enter into negotiation for a different pilot program for, the lasers. Solar lasers.
That'd be fun.
And then the last one is, the whole thing with our website.
Yeah.
We have to do something about companies closing.
Yep.
So those are items that Charlie couldn't answer.
My wife told me about the website as I was walking out the door, because she saw it online, so.
Yeah.
So there are 5? We ready for Steve? I think so, right?
I think so, right?
Solid waste was at 7:30?
Yeah, solid waste 7:30 and highway 7:45.
Do we know if solid, who's solid waste?
It's the same.
Steve.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
Steve.
Okay,
All
so
right.
like,
He wears the little hat.
yeah,
And cemetery.
yeah. Steve, do you know everybody on the committee?
Met, but I don't know.
Okay, we could just go through and introduce ourselves really quick, because I know some of us are brand new or meeting folks for the first time, so.
Fred McGovern.
Melinda Tarsi.
Montesino.
Hey,
I know you.
Yeah.
So what we've done so far is we've taken everything that was a level fund request or a decrease. We voted to recommend just to get a sense of where we are, where we stand before we look at any of the lines that have movement on, even if it's $1. So anything that was an increase, we didn't vote on. We're leaving aside all of the wage and personnel lines just because we haven't gotten recommendations for wage and personnel yet on any of those. But what we wanted to do is bring department heads in just to chat about any of the lines where there's, like I said, even if it's $1 increase over last year. That was just sort of the bright line that we drew to get a sense of where the budget is as we wait for some other assessments to come in. Do you guys, I know there were a couple of lines I think that we had questions on. So do you want to start with recycling first?
Well,
Okay. So we can leave out, clerical. So line 104 is a wage line, 106 is a wage line, so hold those for a second. Line 105, recycling office expense, the FY20 request is $3,460. The FY19 request was $3,190, and that's again line 105. So Steve, while we're pulling it up, I have a note to have in front of you the reason for the increase in that?
I don't have a note on there either.
Okay.
She's got it all broken down on the bottom, but she didn't.
105, okay, here we go.
That's 105 is the expense.
Yeah, so it looks like the internet expense is going up, $200 for equipment. Uniforms, $995. Yeah. Alright, so it looks like uniforms goes up a little bit, and then the line that is supplies goes up a little bit. And under notes, it says office supplies, general supplies, printer cartridges, photocopy cartridges, the clothing allowance looks like it's going up a little. So I don't know if you had any. I can show you this one too. We have the.
She does the stuff on the bottom of this stuff.
Okay.
I do not have an answer for why they went up, but
Okay.
I trust Sue, so.
It looks like.
On the clothing, I don't know if that's because we're having to buy all new vests.
Oh.
This year we have to start having everything high bid.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that makes
Okay, so
sense.
that would be the uniform allowance. The internet cost looks like it's going up, although it looks like it brings it in, it looks like it would bring it in more into line with 2016, 2017. So that's $1,115 for the FY20 request over the actual for FY18, which was $854. Supplies, looks like it goes down a little bit, but then equipment goes up by 200. And down below it says equipment 100. That one's right. So it looks like, see, there's a little discrepancy between,
200 and 100.
yeah,
Yeah.
it could have just been a typo, but if you don't mind checking on that for us, thanks.
which one is that, Melinda?
It's, equipment up in the,
Yeah,
like the Excel
the
sheet is
table.
200 and then down below it's 100, so we just want to be sure which one they're asking for. Yeah, so like up top here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alright, so So that is, so we're in line 105. We're just gonna ask to clarify the equipment cost.
You know, make sure on the clothing ones too.
Okay, thank you. So we'll hold on that one.
Yeah.
Line 107, recycling center expense.
I believe that's just because all the prices going up with the recycling.
Right, because,
To get rid of it.
yeah, because of the contamination and things like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it looks like that's the only number. Yeah,
Yeah, well,
Everything else
because the
is the same.
disposal costs are going up.
yeah.
Yeah.
Everything else is pretty much exactly the same as now.
Yeah.
It's the only number that's up.
Do you have a sense, Steve, of with all the increased advertising about making sure there's not contamination of the recycling, do you think that's having any effect on it, or do you think it's
Well, that
still?
whole thing was going on when it was helping a lot. but
Yeah.
Now, some people start to go back again,
Okay.
so.
That's gonna be the major driver of the increases there. Yeah.
Really, the biggest thing is there's no place for us to get rid of it, so all those costs are going up. So we bring it to, so they put it down to the town.
So there's a 50% increase in the tipping cost for the disposal,
That's
but that results in a nearly a double in the disposal costs.
probably gonna be more. Sooner or later, it's probably gonna go up even higher.
At some point.
From 60 to 90.
Serious look at that service that we
Yeah, but why would this
Yeah.
double if this
And
one
there's
only
some
50%?
communities that don't even provide any
Unless they're figuring increased tonnage.
and everybody does it private home.
Yeah.
Alright.
Bridgewater.
Are you expecting increased tonnage to go along?
That's what she was talking about,
Yeah.
the tonnage.
So we expect increased tonnage disposal
It's
in
also-
addition to the increase?
Well, it's also the market, right, as you said, that's what's driving this, people aren't buying recyclables. China was buying it in the beginning, and now they're not. And so we have to pay to dispose of it, when it's not getting recycled. And then you've got, as Melinda brought up, you've got people not paying their recyclables properly, and they can't recycle. So it's a combination of that that drives the cost up, so you're gonna see that again. You know, I'm for providing good services, but at some point, it needs to be analyzed.
Yeah.
Because now, it's changed in the last couple of years, and I think we need to get ahead of it to look at, because the market is changing. And what does that mean? Because right now, we charge a $50 recycling fee, and people are very upset about that,
Yeah.
but it's a pretty visible,
Yeah.
you know, fee, considering there are a lot of communities in the South Shore don't even provide any recycling or rubbish disposal at all. People rely on public
Yeah.
companies, yeah.
They upset with the fee or upset with the abatement?
I think they're upset with all of it. Yeah, because everybody who pays a fee wants an abatement, but, you know, I mean, we need to buy a truck, we need to,
Yeah.
you know, we have to plan for things, like, we're all taxpayers, right? And we're all trying to figure out how to do it
Yeah.
in the most least expensive way, and so I do suggest that, and I'll bring it up to Charlie, that the Board of Selectmen maybe have a group of people to get together to really look at recycling and disposal, because, again, it may be a service that we just say, you know what? If enough people are using private haulers and we see the increase in the abatements, then why are we providing the service, and why is it becoming, it's not cost effective anymore? Not that we
Yep.
were making a profit, we never were making a profit.
Well, that's what I was trying to understand. I mean, all my neighbors are using Doyle, right?
Yeah.
So when I see that, I think that's less tonnage that we're tipping because
Right.
Doyle's doing it.
Right,
Yet our increase went from $60 per tipping ton to 90.
right. Because
Ye-
less are being used. And we brought somebody in, Steve, you were at that meeting, we brought somebody in from the state that
Right.
explained what's really happening in the market. And it's pretty pretty scary. I mean, Doyle's gonna, like, all those private haulers are gonna have finance issues as well. And so.
We still can't figure out how they're getting away with getting rid of some of the stuff.
I think
we can't
Dooley,
get rid
when
of.
Dooley first came out, they were very low. They went in low
Dooley, that's what it
to,
is.
Yeah.
to undercut everyone. But I think now, people who go to Dooley now are not getting the same
Same,
price as what a lot of people signed in, you know,
And I think.
got in the beginning. so.
Right, and I think what happened was, those private haulers were first to do single stream. And so it was the convenience of that. And even the convenience of single stream still didn't encourage people to wash out their stuff. And so that's, you know, becomes the problem. And so we started offering single stream last year, right, Steve?
A couple years ago, yeah.
Yeah, and so we thought we would entice people back, but people get inconvenienced by the bags. You know, I know we've had an issue this month with the bags, but besides that, it's the inconvenience of having to buy the bags, and so people just do the private hauler out of convenience. And so what we've seen at the Board of Selectmen level is that we see so many abatements at this point, that again, we need to look at, is it a service that we should continue to provide? So.
I think Bill's trying to back in, so the number from the prior year was 16,000, right? So now we're saying 30,600, but the price went from 60 a ton to 90 a ton, right? So it doesn't add up. So we're trying to figure out, is the tonnage increasing along with the fee increase?
Just a fee.
It's a 50% increase in the fee, 100% increase in the expense, and I'm trying to reconcile
Right,
that.
and look, everybody's saying we're getting less coming in. It's just they've gone up on the fees.
I understand, but if you're getting less coming in, you're tipping less at a higher rate.
Right, but I think that if you look at the column with the extra, 18.6 was for FY '19. So she went up to 30, that's.
Well, even the year before was 16,
Right.
and then it went to 18.6, and now we're jumping to 30. Yeah, but not from, I mean, 16 to 18 is,
Right.
because the prior year before that was 12.
FY '20 is when they're going up, I believe.
The 60 to 90?
We might not even make it through this year as part of the issue.
That's what I was gonna say, is when are the tipping prices set? Are they constantly changing, or are they set at particular times? Because we might just be off the schedule of the,
Right.
when the
Another
tipping fees
thing
get
is
set.
our contract is up also with Howland,
Right.
so
Okay,
they're gonna I know they're gonna go up on that.
yeah,
And you can't predict what they're gonna go up because of the costs
yeah,
of everything
yeah.
going up.
That's what my question about the tipping, like, did we just kind of catch it out of the cycle, and that's why it looks so much higher this year, because so this number also takes into account that when we go back to get a new contract with Howland, that we're expecting them to go up.
I'm pretty sure they're gonna go up.
Yeah.
That's on the, page 109, number 109.
109.
That's where the
Collection.
contract hauling is.
Okay,
Oh yeah, this is a recycle. isn't
This
it?
is, the-
Yeah.
Yeah,
this
so
is
that's,
the-
yeah,
okay, okay.
sorry,
No, that's all right.
jumped the gun.
I just try to make sure that there's not like a mathematical formula in the Excel file or a typo there.
No, she's
I can
going
check
off.
the numbers with Sue. We can check the numbers. I'm pretty sure that she just expects, she doesn't see where this is going to end, I think is what's happening. So she's planning ahead. And again, I'll ask her about the tipping fees and when they go up.
Yeah, I just, in the likely event that we're pinching pennies, that's just what, yeah.
Again, just for your information, this again is an enterprise fund, solid waste is.
Oh, that's true too.
So this is paid for by their revenues and their retained earning. Doesn't mean to be willy-nilly over it.
Right, yep.
But this money is paid for from their revenues.
And before it starts really eating and we're at a panic is when I think,
Right.
and it's really hard because we don't have a lot, like just, you're at quorum right now, we don't have extra people that want to really look at this, you know? And so, you know, I'll talk to Charlie again about it, but it would be great if we had a member from this committee look at it, somebody, you know, Steve can be part of it, and a Board of Selectmen member, just to kind of look at because you can look at the trend, and
Right.
this is the year that
So-
we're going to start to panic.
The
So-
solid waste on this every year, we look at the cash flow.
Yes.
And, you know, the bag and tags, so the bags that we're selling, paying for the bag and tag program, and as the, you know, the recyclable sales, is that paying for, so we sort of break it down. This is the revenue that comes in, and this is what the expenses are for that service, and where are they falling. And last year, we were pretty close.
Right.
We need to, again, you're trying to build up your retained earnings to pay for expenses of the building, eventually when we need a new truck, that type of thing. So we've been very lucky. The administrator down there, she's worked very closely with a member of DEP, who actually has his office in our building. We get some money from that too. But he has helped us get numerous grants for equipment, for compactors. They're working very hard at, our truck is now a compactor, but we also have for Saturdays, if people bring their recycling in, we have a compactor that they just feed it through a chute, it goes into the compactor. That means less trips to, where is it, Avon they go?
Yeah, and that's.
And less trips to Avon, so that is a less of a cost for us. But even with all of that, the recycling is just getting so expensive.
Yep.
Because China doesn't want it.
You're actually taking pictures of where a truck dumps to see what's coming out of it. Because it's so dirty or stuff that's not supposed to be in there.
Yeah.
And actually Halifax is not
One of the
a
best.
bad community. Halifax has a fairly good track record as far as that goes.
Yeah.
So,
But like I said, we want to get ahead of it before
Yeah.
it becomes a problem.
So maybe after town meeting, we can
Yeah.
have a subcommittee.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll hold then on line 107 to clarify the numbers on that one as well.
We'll have a trashy summer.
I think the same with 109 as far as I'm concerned. I think the discussion kind of answered both.
All right, so then on line 109, we'll also hold to clarify, but I think we can talk about line 108, which was, I think the discussion we had here, Steve, was that it's a level fund request over FY19's vote, but it looks like you expended a little bit more than that in FY18. So it looks like in FY18 for hazardous waste collection, it was 14,000. We voted on 12,335 in FY19, and your request was 12,335 for FY20. So we were just basically making sure that 12,335 would be sufficient, given that you expended a little over 14 in FY18.
So far.
Yeah.
Yeah, so far.
Yeah. Well, no, that was,
Oh, yeah,
that
no.
was FY18.
That was 18,
Yeah,
yeah.
FY19 was voted 12. So
Right.
basically,
Where was that?
you spent about 14,000 in 2018. You asked for about 12,300 in FY19. We just want to make sure that since you're asking for that same amount this coming year, that you're not
It's gonna
like
stay on this.
undercutting yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Do we know how that's trending, Sandy?
This is difficult because with the hazardous waste, we've been collecting it as the year goes on, and then she calls to have different things taken away. So it would depend on how much hazardous waste comes in before she calls, you know, not this container's full, I'm gonna call and get
Okay.
that. But
We just stopped
that's
that
getting,
also.
yeah, that's getting very
We stopped that, that's why.
bad, very
Yeah.
expensive, and very hazardous. So what we're going to be doing is a hazardous waste day. She's been trying to call around to different communities to find out how much, because other communities do this, a hazardous waste day, where you advertise, residents bring hazardous waste out in town barn, they collect it, and then it's all disposed of right away. She has not been able to, last time I talked to her, she had not been able to find out from any of the other communities how much this would cost, how much it usually runs. So she basically level funded until she had more information.
We're trying to work on Plimpton right now.
Okay.
So we do one day in Plimpton and one day in Halifax.
Okay.
Trying to get the cost.
But again, we don't know how much it would cost.
So it sounds like level funded is okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that if we hold on that one, we
Not gonna know much more.
Yeah. So then on line 108 hazardous waste collection, the FY20 request is 12,335, which is a level fund request over FY19. Do I have a motion on line 108 hazardous waste collection for $12,335?
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any further questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
So we'll vote to recommend that one. Okay, so I think that's all with, waste management.
If we're on 9, that'll hold.
Yeah, we're gonna hold to clarify. So if you wouldn't mind, doing a little fact finding on 105, 107, and 109 for us, as much as you can. I know 109's more out of your hands, but just, especially 105 was that, where the two numbers were different, and it seems little, but we just wanna make sure we've got the right
Yeah, that's
request. And then, 107 is the,
Hold on from the other.
yeah, and like we said, we know some of that, we're just in a holding pattern, but especially if it's like a little, typo error, we just wanna make sure.
Okay.
So do you have anything for us then under recycling, or are you okay to move on to highway?
No, just recycling. We're gonna, with one of the truck, or the 2 Peterbilts that we bought, we're gonna try to adjust the 2 of the containers we have down there.
Okay.
We're gonna have to shorten them and take the tops off, but, so when we do the scrap metal, the town will make all the money instead of hiring a company to bring it up the street. So we'll really use the town for it.
Okay.
The town will get all the profit instead of giving it to another company.
Okay,
So,
nice. Do you have any estimate as to how much that would be, or do you have just a general sense?
well, if we bought a new one, it's gonna be about 5,000.
Yeah.
If our mechanic can cut it and weld it legally and all that, then it'll be half a month,
Nice.
probably lower.
Okay, good. Nice, awesome, thank you for those, and so let's go over to highway. The highway starts with line 77, so line 77, 78, and 79, as well as 87 are all technically wage lines. So we'll leave those on, and again, see, we did the same thing here. We only voted to on the level funds or decreases, and, I think yours, even where there was some level funding, we wanted to make sure. Oh, these just, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, why did we not vote on snow and ice or whatever? Okay.
Well, the wage line, so, I mean, we're still waiting on, are they just recommending increases, or is it also personnel?
Personnel, I think
Personnel.
you're looking for more hours, Steve.
Almost one.
On your,
You're looking
highway.
for a new position, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a new position request on.
But the wage and personnel,
yeah, that's,
Yeah, that's all you.
okay, so we do need to talk about
We only
wages
vote
then.
on, non-union wages.
Oh, okay. All right, well then let's start with, wait,
Going backwards here.
but that wouldn't take into account,
No, but if he's
He
asking,
was asking if wage and personnel makes a decision on whether or not hours are needed, and we do not, we only
sorry.
approve the rate of which the person
Yeah,
earns. The
okay.
finance committee will determine whether or not the new hours are required.
Right, okay, sorry.
Well, town meeting will eventually, but.
When you said wage, I thought you meant the payment, and you were talking about the committee. Okay, sorry. That's okay. Oh my God.
That was mine.
Steve, on your budget sheet, and I apologize because I didn't see this when it came in, but you put requesting a town meeting article for additional labor.
That's what we're talking about right now.
Right, that's what we're talking about right now. That's usually not done by an article.
Oh, it's not?
No, you would ask for it here to the finance committee. They were looking for extra hours.
Where's line 78?
I think that's probably one that
Yeah, but here's line 78. Yeah, okay, so it might be a little bit out of order in the binder, but line 78, requesting town meeting article for additional labor, 45,011. So do you want to talk to us a little bit about the additional labor, what that would look like? What kind of position it is?
It would be a truck driver labor, like we have 4 of them now.
Okay.
And basically, it's because of this MS4, the stormwater.
Stormwater, yeah.
A lot of the stuff that we have to do is going to be under highway. And we're short-handed as it is, so I'm asking for another person.
Okay.
Also, the town's growing, and we haven't hired anybody, an extra person in
Yeah.
a long time.
So you said truck driver, and what was the other thing you said? The
Truck driver laborer.
laborer, okay.
And that would fall under line 78, highway wages.
Yeah.
And you said 45,000?
Yeah. Oh, 1.
Pardon?
$45,011.
Yet the increase is only 28,302.
Yeah, I don't know where the increase came from, but,
I think I just figured out what we did.
yeah.
We're gonna talk about getting rid of the part-time cemetery and use that money to go to the full-time.
Oh, okay.
But we're gonna try to go as full-time cemetery also, but I'm not even gonna bother trying to do that. So that's where the mix-up with that 28,000.
So
That would have been the money that we had to get if we used the cemetery instead.
So does this budget represent keeping a part-time cemetery and adding a full-time
Yeah,
highway?
that's on the cemetery budget, not this part. I just saw what we did.
Okay, that's fine. So do you want to redo the sheet and we'll take a look at it when it's the right number, or?
I think that 45 is the right, but the 28 is the wrong.
Okay.
But if you want, yeah, we can hold off on that to make sure.
All right. And then,
Does
yeah.
that sound good?
Yeah, you will sit down and
figure.
figure it, it will work it through. But also the second part of that, the requesting the lead to working foreman, that's a union. And you have to do that in the contract, you wouldn't
Right,
do it
because
again.
I don't think that position actually exists in the contract, does
Right
it?
now it's
the working
called
lead
Yeah,
man.
so that's gonna be part of the negotiation.
Right, okay.
Right?
Okay. So then we'll hold on line 78, highway wages, to get clarification. We'll have to take out the union one and also make sure that we've got the right number with that additional labor request. So for that, Steve, do you think that one full-time position is a sufficient request, given adding in all of the stormwater duties, adding in the expansion of the town and other things? If you're gonna make the ask for the position, do you think that the one full-time position is a sufficient one?
At this point, yeah, I'd try to make it work with one more.
Okay. Does anyone else have?
Yeah, have you looked at decreasing? I know it sounds petty, but one thing that drives me nuts is the brush pickup and stuff like that. Have you looked at things that we do?
I
For resident-
myself, as a taxpayer, I think that's something we should not get rid of, because that's something we can actually show the people that we move for them.
Right, but if it comes at the cost of having another individual because we don't have the personnel to get done what we're obligated to do, then that's a trade-off that we're making.
If it's one, no, I don't think so, not with one day, because it's only one day a month that we do that.
Don't you go around with the trucks and stuff though, and
Yeah,
the,
one day a month. But if we're cutting trees and we see a pile, then we'll pick it up on the way by, but we don't make, it's just one day a week for the brush pickup for town people. But like I said, if we're cutting a tree and we go down the street and
Right.
pile up there, we'll pick it up.
I've been burning my stuff every year. I didn't know that. I'm putting it by the street now.
we also incentivize it by charging for a burn permit. So we charge you for a burn permit, but we'll pick it up for free in the side of the road once a month. Or how many hours do you spend down at the barn running the chipper? Because people bring their stuff to it.
On the last Saturday, 4 hours. They can bring it down there.
Is there anything else we do like that? We're under no obligation to do, but we do because the residents
That's
like it, or?
That's the only two things that we do extra, that I think is extra, that a lot of towns don't do.
Is the major thing? Oh, sorry, Sandy.
No, I was just gonna say, I use the brush pickup. If I have, like in the storm when the tree fell, I put the brush out. I had another time a tree fell in my backyard and I did put the branches out to the street. I also burn every year too for the little brush. I wouldn't put that little stuff out.
I burn whole
I mean, that's
trees.
a lot.
I didn't know you picked
burn
up.
whole trees,
I burn too, so.
I do.
But it is a good service.
It's a perk, though.
So-
It's a
but-
perk for the residents that we're under no obligation to do.
But just to clarify, I mean, my understanding was that most of what this position's about, not from this conversation tonight, but from previous conversations where we're looking at the budget sort of a couple months ago, was that this is really being driven by the actions that we have to take around stormwater management that we
Stormwater.
haven't done yet,
Right.
right? And that this sort of to-do list has been getting quite extensive given the mandates that we have to meet. So and I'm not putting words in your mouth, but I just want to clarify, I was under the impression that most of this had to do with meeting those requirements about stormwater
Right,
management.
there's a lot of stuff around the ponds, all the catch basins, everything's gotta be done twice a year. If we do the filter system, we're gonna have to do filters in the catch basins. It's just a bunch of stormwater things that person will mainly be doing that but on the off time, we can use them on our place.
Okay.
So
So,
there'll be a highway position.
okay, but, so I guess, will this position just kind of specialize in the stormwater?
Well, everybody at the town barn will be,
Okay, so we don't need to look for a specialist?
right, no, it's
Okay.
not a specialist.
Okay. That's why I didn't want to, I think it's important to ask the question about the services we're offering, whether or not it offsets the cost. But I just wanted to clarify too, whether or not that discussion we had a couple months ago about stormwater was this the end result of that conversation? I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, it's not it's a pool of resources,
Right.
personnel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know a lot of people use it, but I don't, so.
Right.
And that's
No, a
just,
lot of
again,
people
that's
like,
a,
"Bill, how long you lived there, you didn't know we did." I mean, we advertised it, but
Yeah, I've been burning every year for a decade.
yeah, but again, we charge for a burn permit, but we don't charge for curbside brush
Understood.
pickup. You're running trucks, you're running the chipper, you have guys doing it. I know it's not that much, but over the years it adds up.
that's what I mean. I think it's something the taxpayers are paying a lot of taxes in the town, and that's something, I don't think it's not really costing that much for us to do that.
How long would it,
Diesel and the,
with the new,
usually, because we're doing it once a month, we were doing it twice a month. We went down to once a month because we noticed doing it twice, it was kind of a waste. So once a month, we get a full day out of it, or half a day sometimes. It's not, some months it's a half, some days, some months will be a full month, a full day. So I think it's worth us to stay doing that, myself.
so with a new head count, how long will it take to become compliant with
So
storm?
once we start doing all the stormwater stuff, it's every year.
How long will it take the new head to,
Is there a backlog
Get
of
in- yeah.
stormwater stuff?
in other words, a new head can take 9 months to gain compliance?
No, what it is, we have to do more things around the pond.
It's now,
There's a
it's
backlog
the
of
to-do
things
list
that,
for every year gets bigger.
So we're doing
It's not actually
stormwater,
a
like as
backlog,
part
it's
of.
just
Water-
not getting done.
It's not getting
Yeah.
done, and nobody's been doing
Yeah, so
anything.
as part of the whole stormwater project, we were granted a grant, and we've been working on that. It's part of keeping the ponds healthy, and so that's going to be another job that the highway department.
Right now, our
And this started
stormwater
way
and some of
before
the
I got
drains
here, too.
go right into the pond
Yep.
Yeah.
without any filters.
Yeah.
So the oils and the contaminants from the road are going right into our ponds. DEP doesn't want you to do that anymore.
Yeah, and so
We have to put in gas filters in some of them and different things like that.
and there's maintenance required. So there's definitely,
Yeah, we're gonna have to have we're gonna have to clean the basins twice a year around there now. We're gonna have to sweep around there twice a year. So,
sounds like Saturday.
that's overtime now.
Well, not if you're doing curbside brush pickup.
Yeah.
So again, I'm not blaming you, it's just that stuff drives me crazy because if you complain about taxes and
It doesn't wash.
it's just, those are the things you need to give up.
Because I'm looking at it the other way, that it's giving the people back something that they're spending that money on already. So
Right, but now we have a backlog of water stuff, so, you know what I mean?
That's a whole even if that didn't come up, we wouldn't have had it. You still need at least one person.
I think it's the difference too between that this is a not symbolic activity, but it's a relatively low-cost activity that gets folded into day-to-day operations that helps residents see where their tax money goes versus.
Right, but I just don't like hearing that there's backlogs of stuff not
Yeah.
getting done when
Yeah.
we're doing stuff that we're not obligated to do.
Yeah,
Well, part of the stuff with the stormwater is it's fairly new.
yeah.
It wasn't required, and, back when the drains were put in, nobody cared where the water
Right,
was.
they just somewhere in the water.
But now DEP has come out and said,
Right,
okay, we're going to force compliance on all these towns. So it was not work that was already supposed to be done and not being done. It's work that now we're being required to do.
I think we'd have to cut out more than just the brush cleanup to make up.
well, that's
the
why I was asking if
differential.
there was anything else,
Yeah.
but it still irks me that we do it and we have backlogs of things that we're required to do. Not, you don't irk me, Steve, it's just,
I don't take anything personal.
okay.
If we want to maintain our grants, we gotta do that.
Grants for what?
If we get grants for, the ponds and stuff like that, they're gonna be based on that we're doing all the activity that we have to do.
Yeah, right,
So we're gonna lose those if we don't.
right, the activity we have to do,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like pay the money to get more money, so.
And like,
That's what I'm noticing, by the way. To get a grant, you gotta spend money sometimes.
Yeah, but I have no problem spending money if I can get something else out of it.
any other questions about the request for? We'll still get, we won't vote on it because we still need clarification on the actual figure, but any questions on the position request?
I'd like to also add, just so, even this time of year for snow plowing, it's harder to get contractors now, we're getting shorter on contractors to come back. Sometimes it's short like 10, 15 trucks. If we have the other person, at least we need to have one more person to plow, sand. I mean, that's not a lot of time, but it's still, when we do, it's nice to have the people so we can try to get this.
Will we be able to bring any more vehicle maintenance type activities back in-house with an additional headcount versus sending stuff out?
Would you go from
a
mechanic you're talking, or with that one person?
I would hope that a laborer will be able to change oils and tires.
Oh yeah, well that's what the mechanic is doing now. And one more, I mean, whenever we have an extra guy to help the mechanic, they stay back and help the mechanic when they can.
So there could be a gain there too, not
If we
in
had to,
part
yeah.
cost, but at least the labor
Right.
costs.
But just play devil's advocate, if we were gonna advertise for a position with that additional specification, we'd probably have to offer more than
Say you're a mechanic.
yeah.
Well, that's in,
Well,
that's in
laborer.
the job description.
Low skill, yeah.
It's in our job description.
Okay.
That they can stay, they can help the mechanic and all that.
Okay.
That wouldn't have to be.
Where's 82?
Okay. Any other questions on 78? We're not gonna vote on it, but.
None here.
Nope.
Okay. So we'll hold on line 79, which is clerical, line 80, highway expense, sorry for the confusion. So it's a small increase of $500 over, FY 19, and it says increase 550 due to meetings, dues, and training. Are there is that around stormwater or something else?
No, this is for, I don't know if you guys have been updated on the OSHA.
Oh,
They're
okay.
starting to crack down on all the towns,
Yeah.
and we're so far behind on everything. I want to start sending, this is really not enough, but at least I can send the guys in once a year or something for the OSHA training.
So with this extra 550, send each member of your team to one training, or is it that you're gonna
It depends on the
stagger
training. I
people?
want to stagger.
Okay.
And then I'll be like, just for me to go to some of my courses are 175, 125. So I figured I did a couple guys a year.
Okay.
We still I try to do Maya. They have free courses, so we send it to that if we can. But
Okay.
every now and then there's a specialty course. There's a grader course. There's a waste now a grader, but just some specialties courses and stuff like that.
Okay. So that's the increase. So that's $50 in dues, and then but an extra $300 increase for meetings. So that brings it up. So wait, where's the? Oh, and there's just small, yeah. 50 and 500. But
That's 50, that's 300, and then there's some increase there, in the figures, it's there,
yeah, but this is actual,
yeah.
and then town meeting approved. Oh, it's not broken out.
Yeah, it's tough because none of the town meeting approved in prior year are line items.
Yeah,
Just a
okay.
bonus.
That's why I was looking at.
What are you talking about? How it's broken down?
It's not just you, it's every,
Yeah.
it's every budget. The prior year
Yeah,
town meeting
but-
approved is a chunk, whereas the prior years are all broken out into the,
But the
The same,
550 is the
same
difference.
struggle you and I had when we met.
Yeah, that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That looks to be like it's strictly meetings.
any other questions about line 80, highway expense?
And for me,
Okay. I'll entertain a motion then on line 80, highway expense, for the amount of $6,771.
I'll make a motion to approve $6,771 for line 80 highway expense.
I'll second.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
I vote to recommend that line. Line 81, barn maintenance, $12,600.
That's one 10,000, right?
12,600, FY19 was 10,100, and it says increase 2,500 due to basins and drains that will require pumping and maintenance. Line 81. Barn.
Yeah, that's part of the OSHA again. We've been having the tanks pumped once in a great while, and as for the jet and the pipes, I've had it done twice since I've been there.
Okay.
And I feel, everybody's telling me it's under building maintenance. But if OSHA comes in, or if somebody, DEP comes in
Yeah.
and says, why hasn't that been done? It's
Okay.
my building, it's not Scott's. So I feel this one is something I should be responsible for.
So is the 2,500 then to do the maintenance, or is it a buffer in case of a
Yeah, we
violation?
have to do it quarterly to have it done properly.
And is this the amount that it's been, like, is this a reasonable
We've
amount?
only had it
given what
done
we've had?
twice, so we're just going off of what it's cost us.
Okay.
So we add it up that way.
Okay.
Any advice on the, okay.
From the peanut gallery?
I don't know. I mean, obviously, if it wasn't being done, I can't imagine it's in Scott's budget. So therefore,
So then, I think that's a good question. I have no idea. So if there's an OSHA violation in a particular building, like if there's an OSHA violation in the barn, does any payments for that violation or any of the like mitigation stuff that would have to happen to bring it into OSHA compliance, is that Steve's budget or would that be Scott's budget?
We've never got in there because it hasn't happened.
Okay.
That's a problem.
We try to beat it before it happens, myself.
Yeah.
So basically, if it wasn't here, it'd have to be in the building one anyway, and if we don't have any qualms about
right.
which account it's in, then,
One way of handling it, unfortunately, is long-term is to have an OSHA line item so that all, I mean, whether it's, in that way you can call it or stop, it as a separate line item to deal with all the situations in all the buildings. I mean, logically, some things shouldn't be Scott's concern. That would be absurd. Having an extension cord that someone could trip over,
Yeah.
Scott shouldn't have to worry about. Nevertheless, the remedy for that, which is putting in a new outlet, would fall under building maintenance. So the idea is that, we walk through all these buildings, both in terms of the structure, and activities and such, for each of the departments, and then long-term make those improvements, and it's a separate line item so that the hammer doesn't drop, whether it's on Steve or whether it's on Keith or whether it's even on, someone like Gene Gallant or King Bodrick.
Yeah.
That we have money set aside to make those changes that need to be made, because I suspect, it's not doing it thoroughly. We're not going to have isolated pinpricks, I think.
Right.
And besides which, somehow you want to incorporate possibly the additional training that will going to be required for OSHA and allow the employees who are going to have to do that. It's going to be a multi-department function.
Steve has barn maintenance, the police have station maintenance, fire has station maintenance. Those maintenance budgets are mostly for the electricity, but they've also been able to use that money if this door needs to be replaced, and building maintenance doesn't have it in their budget, we'll take it out of the maintenance. If he wants to if he's asking for the extra money to take care of it, I'm assuming these are floor drains?
Yes.
Floor drains, certainly something that, if it's not in his budget, then it's gonna have to go in Scott's budget.
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
One or the other.
But I like I think it's good to have the conversation about having a separate OSHA line anyway, just because,
Everything's going up on that too.
yeah. And I've been.
I mean, it's that, no, seriously, I went to a meeting a couple weeks ago with the Plymouth County,
Yeah,
and highway departments, DPWs, everything has always been overlooked with the OSHA,
yeah,
and they've done studies and the numbers have gone up so bad in Massachusetts, that's one of the reasons why they're starting to crack down. Now we're gonna be
Yeah,
having to follow the same rules as the rest of the,
yeah. I just went through it last year, the year before with a nonprofit, and the to-do list is not a joke.
no.
So,
You get the new salt shed yet?
No.
Not yet?
I just finally got the okay, well, halfway okay from the building inspector to go forward with what I wanted to do, so.
Are we still wasting money on the old one?
I'm not spending any money.
Yeah, I think it was ready to fall
Yeah, I
down.
just, as a matter of fact, I was trying not to get any salt this year, I don't want to put anything in there.
Yeah.
We were getting too short, so I had to get 4 loads of salt today. Yeah, no, I'm not.
Thought I'd ask. It's worth asking.
so line 81, does anyone have any additional questions on line 81, highway barn maintenance? The request is for $12,600 for FY20. Any questions? Oh,
Can I,
oh yeah, go ahead.
how Sandy was saying, I just want to make sure that that's the right way to do this.
Yeah, it sounds like if it's not in this account, it would be in another one, so
Right.
Yeah.
might as well keep it here because it's easier for us to remember.
And if you're comfortable, given that you've had this service performed before and you're comfortable that this represents 4 of those services performed over the fiscal year, then I'm comfortable with that personally. Okay, so I'll call for a motion on line 81 barn maintenance, $12,600 for FY20.
I'll make a motion for line 81 barn maintenance, in the amount of $12,600.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Line 82 highway equipment. I think might be the.
Sorry if these sounded in order.
No, it's okay.
I didn't realize they weren't in order. I printed them off and just put them in
No,
there. I was like,
no, this is amazing. We're very grateful for the.
Looks like
binder.
my high school binder.
There you go.
Everything's in there, that's all that matters.
That's right.
All right, so it says, under notes, increase $10,000 due to increased cost of oil, tires, car parts, and more vehicles requiring outside repairs because of electronics. Tools required for repair. What was it, cut off? Preventative
Yeah,
maintenance
It was a
program.
PDF, I couldn't adjust it, so I don't know what it said.
That's okay, so-
I went off the
Is that-
side.
I'd like to start a preventative maintenance program that would sandblast and paint 1 or 2 of the trucks each year,
Okay.
trying to get them to last longer with all the salt damage we're getting. And I've talked to a couple other towns and they've got like a 5-year program for the trucks.
Okay.
And you do that in-house?
Well, we could do the sandblasting, but I'd rather have somebody else paint it too.
So does, is the $10,000, do you have a sense of sort of how that would be partitioned? So is
The
it,
small trucks, I got a couple different prices, between
Uh-huh.
2,000 and 3,000 for a small truck to
Okay.
get completely, that's them sandblasting and painting.
okay.
And then the bigger trucks are 4,000 to 5,000 piece.
So then are you
So-
thinking like one big and one small a year and then the
Yeah.
rest is
Or
for?
even if I spread it out between a big and a small 1 year, or just a big one year.
Mhm.
I'm trying to get it so it's every 5th year, so it's basically like the capital plan is
Mhm.
supposed to replace things. I'd like to do it that way
Okay.
with the trucks, and just get them on it. And even our equipment, the loader, the excavator, mini excavator.
Mhm. And then you also have, the cost of oil, tires, car parts, so like the vehicle, maintenance just goes up. So I think my question is $10,000 then reasonable to do the kind of sandblasting and painting that you want on the trucks in whatever combination, and to cover the additional cost of maintaining sort of more, it looks like more, the more electronic panels and stuff like that in your vehicles?
Yeah, well, the trucks that I've been buying, they're all 5-year warranties, so at least we don't have to mess with those for a few years.
Okay,
As for the other trucks, yes, we don't have the equipment to do the scanning, we have to bring it up the street just to get it scanned.
mhm,
The one we have is so outdated, it's useless,
okay,
so. And on the oils and stuff like that,
Mhm.
you used to have 2 different kinds of oils up there. Now, the police crews will have 1 oil, the fire trucks have different oils, our trucks have different oils. So, we have to keep more different oils up there.
if this were a place where we had to pull back,
Yeah, well, Yeah, because the wage stuff aside, it's your largest ask otherwise, so
Yeah.
what's, I know why you asked, or why you're asking for it and why you need it, but what happens if we can't get it to you?
We'll try to keep stuff together. You know, I bought some new soap that we're trying, that it's supposed to get rid of the salt basically after the storm, so we try to wash them after each storm. But
If
that's
we,
not a guarantee.
if we can't get, kind of like off Lynn's question, if we can't get enough to do the full 10,000, which was the sandblasting and the painting and the additional, is there a minimum amount of increase that you would ask us to consider just to cover, like you said, higher cost of oils? Like if we can't do the sandblasting and the painting the way that you want to do it, but we still want to account for the fact that oils cost more and things like that, is there a number then that would cover that? Or just sort of a ballpark?
Is it 10,000 or 20,000?
Hardcore
Yeah, it's a
negotiation.
hell of a negotiation tactic.
Yeah.
I like it.
I'm gonna use that at work tomorrow, see if I can get myself a raise.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, I'd like the 10,000 just because that's what I feel we need.
Yeah.
But if I have to,
If we could only say, if we said, like, Steve, all we can give you is enough to cover, like, that first sentence about oil, tires, car parts, if you had to break that out of the 10,000 for us, what would that be?
I'd cut it in half.
Okay.
That's probably, want to know what you guys think, I'd probably table it till after we have a better idea of the remainder of the budget, and the school assessments and manuals.
Yeah, I agree. It's pretty big. Sandy, can anything they just mentioned come out of Chapter 90 at all? Vehicle maintenance or?
I'll answer that.
Yeah.
Everybody says take it out of Chapter 90. Our roads are in such bad shape now, if I keep on taking money out of Chapter 90,
Yeah.
I can't spend it on the roads.
I was just curious if it could.
Oh, I could.
Come out
As
of
long as
Chapter
it's,
90.
well, it's gotta be the equipment on the road, it has to be used for the road. You can't just fix something out of Chapter 90.
Not the
Did I-
tires, oil, stuff like that.
Not routine maintenance? The sandblasting and
The
painting?
sandblasting, I think that might be able to, I have to tally it.
I hope not, because the whole
I
idea,
think so.
well, the whole idea of the Chapter 9 program was infrastructure. It wasn't, I mean, they expanded it a lot, so the some building projects, like the salt shed, or, buying vehicles even, were trying, but the original purpose was roadly. But I'm gonna look in the meantime and see if I find something. Continue on, away from.
And I think Lenny's right, I mean, you need to see what other components
Yeah.
of the budget.
Yes.
You know, I mean, it's not that it's not a worthy thing to look at, it's just that there's so many other things to look at.
Yeah.
What's the estimated, like, extension of the life of the vehicle by doing the sandblasting?
Well, if you're getting, say, 7 or 8 years, 10 years out of it, you'll get another 7, 8, 10 years out of it.
That's what the last couple trucks you replaced had severe,
Oh, yeah, well, that's what I was
Rusting
gonna bring it up,
on.
is like,
Yeah.
I don't want that same thing to happen to me.
yeah.
When I came in and everything's completely rotted away.
Yeah,
I
I,
wanna try to get
You have
ahead.
to
We
think
had
of
those
the
pictures
cost
last
over those years, and then the cost of the equipment.
Yeah.
You know, if you're saving money that way, then it's
Yeah.
actually worth it.
no, it's a worthwhile thing. The preventative maintenance thing, I think we talked about when we met at the town barn a year ago, or whatever it was. But until you have the bottom line and you wind up stacking it, it's just
I agree with
impossible
that.
to say.
So, you know, Steve, what might be helpful, since we have things that we're asking you to clarify anyway, maybe on that line, if you wouldn't mind, even if it was just like a bullet list of, like, large truck sandblast and paint equals this, small truck sandblast and paint equals this, oil and this equals this, like you said. If you just break it out a little bit for us in there so that we could see, like, if we wanted to be able to approve something on that line, but we had to make a really tough call, at least then we'd have an idea, and that would also allow you to maybe come up with a couple, like, scenario 1 under full funding is, this is what my maintenance schedule would look like, scenario 2, half funding, this is scenario 3, nothing.
Yeah, because we don't want cars blowing up because there's no oil.
Yeah, or putting the wrong oil in it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Which that happened to one of the fire trucks a while ago.
fantastic.
So,
yeah, so if you wouldn't mind just, like, sketching that out a little bit more for us, and that just helps us a little bit, like, I guess as Len said, this is one of the lines where you're making a bigger ask, and if we do have to rein stuff in,
Okay.
but we still want to, you know, make sure departments have what they need to function. So we'll hold on line 82 highway Equipment, line 83, highway, towns, and roads, the request is $74,355, which is a level fund over fiscal year 19. So if kind of taking our decision what we've been using, we can hold a vote on it now.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
You all right with that number, Steve?
Well, I want to go up, but
Yeah,
I can't get back.
Yeah,
So I'll make do with what I have this year, so.
okay.
I don't think anybody's gonna argue over the road.
Yeah. All right, so I'll entertain a motion on line 83, highway, towns, and roads, $74,355.
I'll make a motion to approve 83, line 83 highway town roads for the amount of $74,355.
I will second the motion.
Motion and a second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Similarly, for line 84, highway, snow, and ice, it's a level fund request over F118 of $177,509.
One of my sons was home today from school, so I'm just gonna make him read it. All right, this has been fun. All right, let's see you guys.
I'll make a motion to approve the level funding of line 84 highway, snow, and ice in the amount of $177,509.
I'll second the motion.
Motion and a second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Line 85, streetlights, is that,
Steve, you didn't fill in the request for the streetlights? So
I was supposed to.
but I was assuming you were level funded,
Yeah, I was
but I didn't fill it in, so just,
Okay.
I wanted to make sure. And not just,
What do we do with the streetlights out of curiosity?
pay the bill.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I'm looking at the possibility of the town purchasing the streetlights, but I haven't had time to do that because long term that should save money. Basically, when part of the charges for the streetlights is thinking about the mortgage aspect of it. Since if they put a streetlight and we pay it off over a certain amount of time, that charge never disappears even after the streetlight's paid off.
yeah.
So the idea is that we buy the streetlights. It's going to be small change. It'll be 5 figures, not even 5 figures, it's 4 figures, the last time I remember. And then we'll still need to pay National Grid and whoever our supplier is for the transmission and the supply of electricity. But the maintenance part, yeah, it falls on us, but it'll be a lot cheaper because we can bank that in essence for streetlight, whatever we need. So as far as streetlights, but I'm not there yet. I don't know that I'm going to be there yet until the town meeting. And it places another burden in essence on Steve if we went down that road because it's not that his crew needs to go out there and maintain. We probably would get a third party that specializes in that, and can, rather than take people away from other projects, we just, if a street light needs to be replaced and have the right equipment, they go up there, it's a 10-minute job done.
Yeah.
But it still means that Steve has that burden. And I don't know that it's fair at this point for him to have to take that on. So I wouldn't propose this without talking with him. And everybody tells me, no, I'll still do it.
So Steve, were you gonna make a level fund request for
Yeah, I was
27?
level fund, yes.
Okay, so we can fill that in on our spreadsheet. Sent the request for line 85 streetlights will be 27,300, which is level funded over FY19. Do I have?
If there's no objections, I'd like to make a motion for 86, 87, 88, and 89, since they're all level funded.
Yes. I second that motion.
Okay?
Okay, so let's just that. When you just read them out loud, read
Yeah.
the item amounts. Okay, thank you.
So I'll make a motion to approve lines 87, tree wardens, no, I'm sorry, 88, I'm sorry, I'm blind.
Before we do that, can I, because some of these are just $1, do we still need the lines?
These, yeah, I think for some of the dollar ones.
I don't see that dollar.
It's like pest control.
I could just
I think-
pay for it, Steve, I'll pay it.
I think the concept, if I remember correctly, is that by appropriating the money, we could then, if necessary, go back to you folks for reserve
Line
fund
item.
transfers. I'm not sure, I'd have to check probably, I don't know, whether it's probably DOR. Obviously, we can go in for reserve fund transfers.
We have to.
Okay. We could go in if it's unanticipated, unexpected. So we had a pest, insect pest infestation. Whoever there was could come in.
Yeah.
I guess, we could
Okay.
eliminate.
So-
I was just asking if
It
it made
leaves
sense
us
to
the line
clean
to
them up.
transfer
but-
into.
Yeah, that's fine.
When I-
If it's less work, if we need it, then,
Yeah.
I was told you have to put a dollar in there just to hold the line open.
That makes
Okay.
sense.
So I've never changed anything on it. Charlie and I will look in on it though and see if.
It's just a question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If-
I know at work, we like to close accounts we don't use, but if we need to keep them open to transfer and it makes it easier, then I don't have any issue with it. It's just a general inquiry. So sorry, Bill.
I'll entertain a
All right.
motion then.
I will make a motion to approve line 85, streetlights, in the amount of level funding on the amount of $27,300. Line 86, traffic lights, also level funded in the amount of $5,500. Tree maintenance, also level funded in the amount of $3,500 for line 88. Line 89, insect and pest control in the amount of $1. And tree warden salary,
Yes, yep, 87.
also level funded, line 87 in the amount of $1.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions, comments, concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So if you don't mind getting us clarification on those lines that we asked for, that'd be awesome. Sandy?
One more thing, I just wanted to point out, because you weren't dealing with the wage lines, you didn't see there is a note on highway surveyor salary. Probably should be discussed tonight. Steve is requesting a salary or stipend for recycling department, similar to cemetery superintendent. So, because Steve oversees the recycling, right now he gets no stipend, no anything for it. But you have put it in on the sheet. So I wanted to bring it to your attention so you can at least ask him questions about it and
Thank you.
discuss.
Going back to the chapter, what were you looking for with municipal?
Things like the sandblasting painting for the frame and bodies for the rust.
We're talking road building machinery, equipment, and tools. Care, repair, and storage must be project-related and is submitted in the same project request form. Purchase and replacement and long-term lease of road building machinery, equipment, and tools that must remain the property of the municipality. So the idea is you can't do it as a general maintenance. If for instance, he needed a new blade for a Chapter 90 project, I don't know what, basically, there was a piece of equipment that had a piece that was needed now to be replaced because it was used in a Chapter 90 project, then it could be replaced. But if it's a general maintenance of the equipment, then the answer is no.
Yeah.
It has to be specific part of that project where the equipment is being used for.
So no.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, line 77. So, Sandy, what were you saying again about the,
So Steve is asking for $5,524 as a stipend for recycling department head.
Right.
So essentially,
Or
he's
give it holding the soup.
looking to be paid for wearing that extra hat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because right now, he is the department head for the recycling. Sue does a lot of the
She does almost everything,
bids.
right?
She does a lot of that, but Steve is the department head. And reasons that Steve has had to go down there in the past is disciplinary issues, different things.
Well, just like
that.
Saturday, I got a call at 8:30 because somebody didn't put the truck back in the right spot. So, it's just stupid things like that that just,
an
I have to
additional
deal with
oversight?
things that I'm not getting paid for. And I know it was with the job when I took it, but
You knew this thing was on fire when you really did it.
So does the request for the stipend, does that map onto a request to, that's not a reclassification request, is that just, how does that work, Sandy?
No, so the highway superintendent is an elected position.
Yeah,
He's also the cemetery superintendent, which is an appointed position.
And separate, they don't
And
have to be the
they're
same
separate.
person.
Right.
Right.
So, but the recycling department head has always gone along with, if you want to know the real history? So when the recycling
I
committee
don't know if we do.
went their separate ways, there was a great recycling committee, they came on, they established the bag and take program, got the whole
Bag bags.
got the whole recycling program going. Once it was up and running, they disbanded. So there was no more recycling committee, and then recycling had no head. We had a secretary down there and some workers, but no one to run it. And Steve Stiad was currently the highway superintendent, said, oh, I'll do it.
And so there was a
And then it became his job.
And it was a town meeting vote that said that, in the sense of, if you go back to the records when Ralph was on as highway surveyor,
Yeah.
it was a vote by town meeting, paraphrasing, the highway surveyor shall have the responsibility of the recycling center, or shall be in charge of the recycling center, or something like that.
Okay.
So it just got absorbed. And truthfully, Steve's dad, if there was a job that needed to get done, he just
Did it.
yeah. So he took on that job, but it was never ever any mention of money coming there. But it is, it is a department head position. He does oversee the department. Like a lot of the heavy lifting is done by Sue, but Steve is if something went wrong down there, it would fall on Steve.
And just to clarify too, if, let's say if we were to like take a vote and said that, okay, it's no longer under the purview of highway and we create a separate position, would this be sufficient to then say, I guess I'm imagining a world in which you say like, I'm not doing this anymore, we vote to take it out of your job description, and now we have recycling head, department head. We have to
Can we
create,
pay an official stipend out of the recycling fund instead of putting it in the highway surveyor salary line?
Yeah, it'd be actually worthwhile.
Well, we can put it in his salary, but take money out of recycling, fund it by
So
recycling.
when we get to that line item, it's, we have all those notes down at the bottom of the
Right.
budget.
So his would be so much from the general fund.
Yep.
5,524.
I'm fine. It is just one more question. It is a pretty specific number. Is that
Well, I
exactly
just took
what?
numbers and tried to say how many hours I get stuck.
Okay.
Not stuck, but working on headaches.
I'm sure.
It was a practical.
compensated.
Yeah, well, that's why I asked. It's just very
And
specific.
it's just, that's how I figured out, basically, I tried to do the hourly
Yeah.
wage
Yep.
by the,
Expect the number of hours.
and I mean, I would go lower, I mean, I don't have to go this high, I haven't sat down and feel exactly how much time,
Yeah.
but I know that when I'm away on a weekend and I get a call, it kind of, I mean, like I said, I know that was part of my job when I took it, but
Yeah.
Coming out of recycling makes me more comfortable with it in its entirety, even the number.
So then I guess what we could do with that line is line 77, take a vote on $79,264 with the stipulation that the finance committee recommends the funding scheme of the recycling head compensation coming
Just so you
exclusively
know, again,
from.
this is wage. His wage will probably change
Yeah,
if there's any wage increase. If we get a wage increase for wage and personnel, we usually also vote one into the elected officials.
So should we just vote the stipend then?
You can,
can we just vote the stipend?
guys can just make a vote now to approve the stipend.
Yeah.
Stipend to go along with the salary.
Yeah,
And then when it comes time to figure in the actual amount.
yeah, okay.
Should we agree, Charlie?
So, yes, we won't vote, we're not voting line 77, we're gonna vote the request being made by the highway department to include a stipend of $5,524 to compensate the highway department head for the code.
Because what you're doing
if
is
you
voting the
notice, I have a
line,
bunch of question marks there too.
Yeah,
you're voting the line item.
But-
When we get to, we'll get to the elected official salary article, we'll have to.
They weren't voting any of the wage lines.
I think we just wanna make sure that it doesn't look like we're voting just Steve's wage line all of a sudden, so,
Just vote to approve the stipend to come from
okay.
the recycling fund, monies, and we'll clean it up.
All right, so I'll entertain a motion to approve assigning a stipend to the highway department head role for the co-acting role as the head of recycling of $5,524.
I'll make a motion to approve a stipend for line 77 highway surveyor salary in the amount of $5,524 as a result of performing the function of the recycling department head.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
I just want to make sure I'm sure Kathy will handle it, but just that it's coming out of recycling.
Yeah.
Sure.
So the finance committee is recommending the stipend and that the amount gets paid out of recycling, but we're not actually voting line 77.
Yep.
Good. Motion second clarification. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so I'm not gonna make a mark on there. Anything else for us, Steve, or we gave you homework?
Cemetery budgets.
Yeah, 92 is level funded.
Okay.
I don't have that sheet up to that one. That's everything is
The first two are wages.
The first two are
Yeah, they only
wage.
did 92.
That is
Yep,
just
so we all did
the
92.
expense budget.
All right, so line 92, cemetery supplies and equipment's a level fund request of $6,020. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve line 92 cemetery supplies and equipment as a level fund in the amount of $6,020.
I'll second the motion.
Motion and a second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And we'll hold 90 and 91 because they're wage. All right. Anybody else have any questions? Steve, you have any questions?
I wasn't sure if we were gonna go over articles.
Do you have actual articles for us? Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
You did. All right. Can you turn them into me tomorrow? And we'll talk about them. We already had the capital planning meeting. Or if you have them to turn in, I can take them in. And then capital planning will be again.
March 4th.
Yeah, because we already
When is it?
discussed.
March 4th.
For
Yeah,
me, or
March
on
4th.
my fourth, I'll see you guys on March 4th? Or is it
We
just
have
that?
data processor coming in on March 4th, and then we might be able to figure it. Is it the same articles that you already discussed with us? Or have you gotten other ones?
What do you tell me? I've got 6. I've got,
You might have to have me back. I'll give you a call.
you wanna hear what that? Or I'll just give you the paper, or?
Yeah, just keep it. I don't remember which ones. I think I
You
have
want
4 or
Charlie
5.
to go to website?
Charlie, did you want to talk about the website stuff tonight, or do you want to wait for Wednesday to talk about that in the bids?
Technically, I really should go into a lot of something that would resemble deliberations.
Right.
This is you're talking about the warrant. No, I'm sorry, we missing something.
No, sorry, we were just about the,
Is there a warrant article for the website?
yeah,
Yes,
right?
Sorry, that I wrote.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So, just to recap, our website provider who hosts and maintains the website right now told us that a couple months ago that April 1st would be the end of the life for the software platform that we've been using. We went back, said, okay, this is a good time to go back out to providers and see what's out there. We looked at several providers. Greg looks like it's the best proposal. It's not the cheapest, but it's the best proposal at $7,500. The first year would be free in the sense of we do have the one-time fee, $7,500, and then the service for the year is free, it's included in the $7,500. And we would pay $4,000, I think there's a price increase after that for the next few years.
Because that's the
We need, one way or the other, I gotta do it, because they close us down on April 1st. I mean, I'm sure for many people, they don't care whether the website exists or not, but some of it is legal.
I was just gonna say, there's gotta be some sort of
Yeah, in the
requirement.
sense of now, these days, the state assumes you have a website, and you're posting documents and minutes. and
Open
everything
meeting
else.
law or something.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm sort of stuck with that. And the second is then it provides links to other places, like, pay your bills online. Well, I can't point to something if I don't have a place
Thank you.
to stand.
Thanks, Steve.
Don't forget your jacket.
So, the alternative was that we would stay with our current provider, which is Civic Plus, which was, Virtual Town Hall was purchased by Civic Plus. We went with Virtual Town Hall, I think in 2011, if I remember right. Their price was $3,000 for a template website and $4,500 for a redo. But the thing is, we'd still be charged an annual fee anyway. So it's pretty much a wash in terms of the costs. And I haven't been impressed with Civic Plus. They've been fine for maintaining the site. There was some slow internet speed or slow response times more in November and December. January in February hasn't been as much of a problem. There were some noticeable lags. But aside that, they've been fine for maintaining the site. If they do have a question, they've been helpful. But they've been very non-proactive about doing improvements for the site, probably because the software, they were going to time it out anyway. But I would have, when we went with VTH back in 11, there seemed to be more of an interest in working with cities and towns on how to make improvements on an ongoing basis. That didn't happen. With Granicus, I've seen more of that. So that's why, I'm reviewing the proposals, having Caesar look at them, we both wanted to go with them. So that's where that now, as I met, going to town meeting, the board of selectmen's in support. My hope is you'll be supporting it also. Obviously, the townspeople could say otherwise. They could either put a 0 on there, which would be a disaster, or they could say, no, we're not going to go 7,500, we're going to go with 3,000 or 4,500, which again is a wash, because I'm going to have a lot, if we go with Virtual Town Hall, Civic Plus, I'm going to have a line item for fiscal 20 anyway. But nevertheless, that's their judgment, and we move on. But I've got to have something. And that's where I am.
Is the new company proprietary software also, or is it open source?
I think both of them are proprietary, if I remember right.
And the other, we saw some of the links that the proposed service provides, like Arlington and stuff like that. I personally thought the functionality looked a lot.
I agreed.
I just think it looks easier for a user in general. I think ours is okay, but even from like a mobile device, I think it just offers us more latitude in the future.
Yeah, I think, things have changed even in the 8 years in the sense of when Virtual Town Hall, and they did work with a lot of communities in southeastern Massachusetts, it was text-based, I don't mean in the sense that there were no pictures, but there was an emphasis on having as much text to some extent as possible, with as many links as possible on that homepage. And the tendency now is to reduce that. I mean, eventually, because I think people figured out that 9 out of 10 users want to go to only a few places, so we're going to emphasize that. If you want this other stuff, you'll be able to get to it, but we'll push what you're actually looking for. And everybody, all these firms now have more experience about them, and especially with, I think it's more than half of the people visiting the site now are mobile.
Yeah.
They're not using computers, laptops, even tablets or something. So.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I tried the links on my phone, and it was a lot easier than using ours, but.
So I didn't know if you folks would want to give me an idea of where you were standing. So because this isn't so important to me that I want to have a big fight at town meeting with you or the board of selectmen.
Right.
If you all, the selectmen have supported the 7,500, if you want to go with Granicus, I'd say fine, that's why I go to town meeting. If you felt otherwise, I'm not going to get in a big fight with you. I need to do something.
Right.
And we're going to have enough other stuff at town meeting. We're not doing yips. But we'll have enough other stuff other than town meeting to deal with that. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. And if I can get if you're on board with one thing, the selectmen are on board with one thing, and I have a much better opportunity to just, okay, we're doing it, well.
Yeah.
Can you go back over the numbers again? It was 7,500
for Granicus, but it would be free the first year for the actual service.
Yep.
It was either 3,000 or 4,500, depending on the level of the region we wanted from Virtual Town Hall. And we're spending about, a little over 3,000 every year in service costs with them.
Okay, what were the service costs for the,
Well, the first year it's 0.
Yep.
Second and third years, I think it starts at 4,000, and there's a, I don't know if it's 2 or 5% increase. So it might be 4,000 the first year. The second year, 4,200 the third year, et cetera. I think we'd be in for a 5-year contract.
So Charlie, does that mean that, excuse me, but does that mean we wouldn't need a budget for FY
20, correct, I don't think so, I'll make sure. Well,
All right.
technically we would, because if they're starting, let's say they're up and running on April 1st, then the second year starts April 1st of 2020. So I assume the payment's gonna be up
So
front.
you
That's
would
what.
need some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In essence, I wouldn't need to pay I have the budget there, and the payment simply gets delayed from July 1st to April 1st, in essence, because I always pay
Okay, yeah.
virtual town hall on July
Do
1st.
you know how much that payment was?
It's like 3,000, 3,300, something like that.
do we have any usage metrics, like how many clicks a month or
Yeah,
anything like
I can
that?
get that for you. I don't have it right on me, but yeah, it's very easy for me to pull down.
Okay. I feel like I'm in a tough position on the finance committee because I don't hate, like, these things aren't brought, it's not exorbitant to ask for the better company. I just, if we're not using it, or if people aren't using it, then maybe
Well,
we don't.
My thing is, if you're paying the same amount of money, why not get the better service?
Well, you're not, right? Because the service fee is gonna increase year over year, whereas I think the
Well,
other
what's the
one
service
was,
fee going to increase for civics?
I don't think it was, right? It
Well,
was,
at least for the time being, it wasn't going to increase. I think it was still going to be in the 3,000s.
Yeah.
It was going to be, the annual fee was going to be less than it was with Granicus.
We think.
Just going to get the
I'm saying.
We think, right? When you
Yeah, 'cause you're gonna get
started the whole
redesigned.
conversation where they're not that proactive, who knows if next year they come back and say,
you sign a contract with them?
I haven't signed a contract with anybody.
No, no, I'm saying if-
Yes,
would you-
I do.
you would.
Yeah. With either of
So
them,
you would
I've
know.
signed a contract.
So we're looking at 7,500, the first year's free, but then we're looking at over 4 for the next
Yeah.
4 years. Or it's 4,500, and then it's 3-ish thousand a year thereafter, so,
Well, this is where it gets weirder. I'll go back and check, but it would be 4,500 for the upgrade, but I still think I'm paying an additional, I have to check for that first year with Civic Plus Virtual Town Hall to see whether, in addition to 4,500, that this coming July, I'd also have to pay the 3,000 or
Yep.
3,300.
okay. Okay, yeah, it's a question to ask. I see what you're saying, but I also, if they nickel and dime us and then in a few years they go out for another contract and now we're up 7,000 a year for
Yeah, well,
maintenance,
that was my whole point.
and now we gotta go back through this again?
Yeah, my whole point was, when we're looking for a new provider, I was hoping that we would try to not go with the proprietary software, because that's where they'll
Yeah.
make a dime with you, because
Right.
you're trapped.
They have
Now you're
leverage.
trapped, yeah.
If
And
you
then,
have an open source contract, heck,
Yeah.
I'll go to a new host. You move your whole website over, boop, and you just host it in a new platform.
Well, and I think also we don't wanna, what I'm thinking of, especially in a 5-year contract, is we don't wanna tie the hands of whoever's gonna be making decisions 5 years from now. If they need increased functionality on a website and they're like, well, why'd you, like,
well,
now
but they
now
could
we're stuck
also
with a
say
website
you
that
stuck
can't-
me with a contract where they're gonna
Yeah.
charge me 6-7 grand a year for
No,
maintenance.
no, yeah, I think I'm
Well, I
thinking
know
like,
for-
let's say we
for
move
that-
towards
for
more
Granicus-
e-billing or something like that.
I know for Granicus, we'll know what those fees are for the entire, I'll go back and look, but I think it was year 0, year 1 was 0, year 2 was 4,000, then 4,200, and
Yeah.
so on. And I'll make sure of those numbers.
Okay.
And what additional functionality can we get out of them that could possibly generate revenue on the new platform? Is there any opportunity to generate new
Well, I think both of them, I don't know that they would get, for instance, the e-permitting module.
Right, that's what I was trying to get at.
As an example. I can check, I think they have them, I think there's additional costs no matter who you use.
Right.
Whether you use them or whether you use another vendor, because basically, as we did with the pay online, okay, it goes to Unibank.
Yeah.
It just leaves our website.
I just didn't want to get locked into, let's say, Civics Plus, and like Gregarious has it, we might not want it now, but we might want to add it in the future
Yeah.
because it adds additional revenue. If we stay with the old company, we can't get it, we've then lost the revenue potential.
Yeah, that's fine.
Well-
If Granicus is better in that it's easier to use and easier to maintain, but nobody's using it,
Yeah.
Well,
then that's another conversation, but
the biggest problem for whatever firm we use is not the coding or anything like that. Although I'm really certain it's very easy to do. It's always a matter of time.
Yeah, maintenance, right?
Yeah.
On our end.
In our end, in the sense of someone has to take the time to keep the website up to date, and you're putting this out. And so it doesn't matter which piece of software we're using, all of them should probably be easy enough that if someone wants to do that, no one's writing HTML at our end.
Yeah.
So it's just simply spending time. We've got, the Board of Health is fairly active, the police department's a little bit, the fire department's a bit, council on aging's a bit, and then it's me. And
oh, I didn't even mean internally, I meant like if nobody's clicking on it. I mean, I do.
oh, no,
But-
well, I mean,
I go on there every time I pay a tax bill.
Yeah, but I mean, we're also on the finance committee, so,
I wasn't on the finance committee, and I
Yeah.
do it all the time to pay taxes.
yeah,
So
I'd like to see, just
Yeah.
because I do the same thing at home, like if I'm paying for something and we're not really using it, I'm just gonna go with the cheapest option that works. So,
So then, do we want to table the discussion until we
Sure.
see the fee schedule and the metrics for use of the current website?
I'll continue with you all on Wednesday. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not against it, I just would like to know, because we're doing due diligence.
Charlie, are there any open source options available?
There probably are, but then it's that much more intensive.
Someone has to
Someone's
code.
actually
It's,
going
it's gonna cost you more upfront to get it designed. Probably in the ballpark of like $15,000.
But then doesn't someone on our end also have to know how to keep up with maintaining an open source system?
Well, no, you can hire the contractor, they can still do the maintenance, the hosting, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Typically, your costs are gonna be lower, by like probably 1,500 to 2,000 in open source, but you just paid a significant, much more higher cost up front. So
Yeah.
then you gotta start thinking, okay, it's a piece of software.
Yeah, if
What's
you're-
your expected life of that particular software? Is it cost effective when you've got this high price up front and lower costs across the board?
If you're
to the end of
expecting
your
future
life?
customization.
Right.
Well, and also the literal design. I did the town's first website using my knowledge of HTML, which was based about in 1995. And I did that, let's say, starting in the late 90s. And it was really basically, I knew how to do it. I could place a photograph here and there and all that jazz. That you,
You can't do that nowadays. You get hacked.
Can we sell ad space?
I don't want to. Imagine if somebody whose opinions I don't like wanted ad space on it. I got no right to say to one firm, you can't advertise. So it's a problem they have with the bus shelters and the subway buses for the MBTA, for instance.
So that's the other thing, I want to know what kind of encryption protocol
You
you
get
use
brush
on the
paper
website.
paste.
So,
Stuff like that. That makes all the big difference.
okay, what does the whole page look like? Someone's got to make that decision.
Yeah.
In which, and I can, whoever I'm working with at that firm, I can say, these are the things I want, and they'll do the grunt work in making that happen. If you do an open source, somebody's, either you're doing that decision or you hire someone to do that.
Right.
At
And that's why
whatever
it costs so much more upfront.
Okay. Do we want to talk about?
The problem is you can't just get, it's a town website, you can't just get, I could build you a website, but the fact that you've got town paying and all this other stuff, you need RSA or, AES encryption protocols and
thankfully,
SMTP and,
we bounce it over to
Right.
Unibank for all that.
right. But you still, you gotta really go with a professional company that can provide the security, because the last thing you want is some kind of loss. Because your information got exposed.
That's a silent.
Yeah.
Because that's another thing to me, it's like you got two different companies, it's like, okay, who has a better job of keeping the information secure?
Charlie, you're gonna go over one,
No, I'm going over it with them on Wednesday.
Lenny's not gonna be.
That's okay.
Well,
These
We
guys
won't be
can
able
fill
to
me in.
vote.
My big question is, when are they going out with the final numbers?
about 3 hours ago.
Oh, okay. They already got mailed?
No, the warrant got posted, because the bids were due for the fire suppression system Friday night
Yep.
before. The board, my board was very specific that they had wanted an actual number in the warrant. So I couldn't go to press with it until today.
Okay. That's,
It got legally posted today, it was sent to the printers today. I'm not sure what the, how fast it's gonna get to the post office, but everything is set up for that.
Okay.
I've already gone on the Facebook, it's on the town website. I've already gone on the Facebook.
not the
and
Facebook.
You know?
Yeah, no, I agree.
I know, I mean,
Yes.
I don't want to go down that, but
It's a good thing it's out there, because
well,
now,
it's not even a good thing, but the thing is this. Unfortunately or fortunately, it's where my biggest audience is.
yes. Well, that's what I mean, because the last special town meeting went out so late that and we didn't have numbers in it, and I'm fairly new at this, but I was like, what is this? So the fact that we're out weeks in advance is,
Everything's there. I have numbers for each of the articles. The only thing that's a blank right now is the date for the proposed pilot for the Franklin Street facility. Because the assessors are taking one last look at it today at their meeting. I need to talk to Holly and say, are they good? If they are, then I'll, when we do the actual motion for the article, we'll say something like February 12th or 13th, whatever.
Okay.
And as soon as they say yes, then I'll also post up the pilot on the website, but also note that on Facebook that it's available if somebody wants to seriously take a look.
awesome. Makes me happy.
Public participation?
Should we, I know it's getting late, but should we maybe go over the police and fire quickly, since I'm not gonna be here Wednesday? I think the chiefs are scheduled for Wednesday, aren't they? Are you gonna make it, Bill?
I'm gonna try, yeah.
Okay. Why don't we
I'll
just,
probably be stuck there because it's gonna snow and then what's gonna happen
If
is
we
my
could-
son, who was supposed to get out of school at 6, isn't gonna get out of school till like 9.
There's,
And I'll
'Cause
be
I
stuck
already-
here.
there's nothing level funded for fire.
no, I already talked to them, so let me just quickly, just for your edification, when you speak with them.
Well, do you wanna just do the level, I mean,
No, I'm not even saying vote, I just wanted to go over some of the increases and stuff that I talked to them about, because there were a few things on there that will need answers. So, actually, this has changed. Police has changed.
so we're gonna need to ask them anyway.
Yeah, so the police wages, Charlie, I talked to the chief. He said that we typically, as a town, will pay salaries to those that get sent to training, was it training? Academy.
Yeah, there's a specific wage rate for that. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, he said he called around and the other towns don't do that, so he had like a $30,000 contingency, which looks like it's now built in.
Charlie just depressurized.
Yeah, let me find the,
I would want to check with Labor Council about that. I know before I was here, so we're talking decades, we've been doing it that way. I don't know that having made the appointment and told this person that they must go to the academy, you can't pay them. Or not, you can't, but that you must pay them. You were, in essence, as a condition of their employment, you told them that you must be in a certain place at a certain time. And doing that for, I don't know, how many months is it, 6 months? 3 something like that? I don't know. But I don't think you can, now, there may be a community that says, we'll appoint you if you go to the police academy, and therefore that's your option, and see us in 6 months.
yep.
But we've never done it that way.
Okay. That's what, so actually this looks different too, because I don't know that this has the same notes that I read. I'll have to go back and look at my original spreadsheet. But he had on there like a $30,000, which I'm assuming is now built in because this is higher than when I saw it last. So that 60 was 30 something. And his comment was that I think he said he talked to some other chiefs in the area and he didn't agree with paying, if we're paying for a cadet to go to the academy, then we're also not paying them a salary on top of it. Because we're already sponsoring them to go to the academy.
I'm missing something here. If you just said we're paying someone to go to the academy, that's what we're paying them.
We pay them.
Right, a salary.
tuition and stuff, yeah.
Right, he's saying that other communities don't do that.
Okay, so we pay their tuition, which they then reimburse us, and then we reimburse them after 3 years. There's a separate agreement about that. But they're not paying us a wage to them, is what you're saying.
Yes, they're not while they're at the academy. We're not paying them a wage to be at the academy. Which again, it looks like,
The letter of employment.
which again, it looks like this has changed because that note's not even on here anymore.
And I'm not voting for this, but the letter of employment says that they're not hired as a full-time officer until they graduate.
Right, but they're hired as a student officer during that time.
Yeah.
We pay them as a student officer. They're not a member of the union. They're technically actually a wage and personnel employee during that time.
Yes.
I don't know how you get away with not doing it. How are they gonna feed their families and
Yeah.
pay their own
Well,
bills?
Also,
his
we'll
point
never
was
get
that
anyone
we're
to apply.
sponsoring you and paying for you to go to the academy.
Yeah, but we'll never get people to apply.
Right.
I mean,
it's
most
just-
companies have some kind of educational reimbursement.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, they've got the.
Well, they're paying for the
there's
tuition.
Tuition, which is set up, so,
Yeah.
we pay the tuition to the state. Then we garnish that person's check for 3 years. At the end of 3 years, they get that money back if they're still with us. If they don't, they have to pay us the remaining money that they owe us. So if they transfer to Department X after a year, in 2 years of the 3 years, they've got to pay us back. Because, there's an idea is that we went through and obviously spent the money on training him. But, I've been very careful with the fire chief about the similar situation, in that, once you make it, if you can say to someone, when we start hiring people, if you've been to the fire academy, you're going to be at the top of our list. It's not a civil service list, but just, we'll rank people and the fire academy graduates are going to be higher. But that's up to you whether you want to go or not. That's all voluntary, and that person makes a decision whether they're going to the fire academy or not. We don't pay them because they're not our employee. We've never hired them or anything like that. I'm not saying he's wrong, but I'd have to check. I want to talk to Labor Council because I think the way we've been wording our hiring letters certainly indicates that they're our employee while they are there. And while if we say to our employee, you must be at a certain place at a certain time, you're paying them.
The academy's 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. I don't know how they
I
could
don't
get
know how
paid.
these other communities.
Well, this is why I brought it up, so you
So
can.
it sounds like
'cause
either way, we need
That's when I
clarification on that.
Yes, when I discussed with him the wage increase, part of it was, they have an open slot and they're replacing that open slot with overtime until the new individual is hired.
We do that all the time.
Right, so that was one part of the increase, and he said that there was a potential part for another increase if we're sending people to the academy and paying them a wage while they're there.
Yeah.
But we just having someone fit it.
Yeah. I haven't had a chance to look at his, and he's new, and I probably should have. I'll break down his salary and see if I can figure out if, because I know the wages of all the offices, and even if they're filling a new position, we know what a step one officer will be making.
Yep.
And then we should be able to come up with, this is what his regular
Yeah, so-
40-hour week
Yep.
or whatever it is, should be. And then usually I try to go sort of by percentages. I know they have a different way of figuring what
I'll
they
look
need
tomorrow
for
because
overtime.
I recall a note on here that said if we're going to continue paying salaries to those at the academy, we're gonna need an additional XYZ, so I'll find it, because I know I have
Find
it.
If you didn't,
I will, yeah, I'll send it over.
send it to me.
Because this doesn't look the
And I'll
same.
take a closer look at this budget.
Okay.
So in the,
I sort of trusted that,
So aside from that, the other piece was that the additional overtime, because they had one of their upper patrolmen retire.
Right.
And he said that the additional overtime of filling that slot until the new step one officer is in place.
but that's happening this year. He
This
retired
fi-
in December.
Okay,
We
so,
don't know when Grizz is starting.
Right, yeah, that's true. But
So that overtime is
Yeah.
is superseding any savings that we would have had from going from a patrolman
Yeah,
to
we're
a step
not
one.
realizing the savings yet.
It's actually a pretty hefty increase.
So since it sounds like there might be some differences between the budget you saw and the most
Yeah, I'll take a
recently
look
submitted
tomorrow and send it to you guys via email, but that was really the only, I mean, other than like the additional training and some
Yeah.
small items for clerical.
Okay.
Again, like those are things where, again, I don't
Yeah.
have an issue with them, it's just do we do it once we know where we're at? Like if they need to pinch clerical expenses because we don't have it, then
Yeah.
we'll have that discussion when it comes.
So we can vote though on line 48, which is expense, which is level funded.
No, they asked for overtime on.
So
clerical.
line
They
48,
never
police
got
expense is 62,485.
If she works overtime, she works.
Do we have a motion on line 48, police expense?
I'll make a motion to approve
Okay.
line 48 police expense in the amount of 62,485.
We have a motion.
I'll second the
is
motion.
Second. Any other discussion on line 48, police expense? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we vote to recommend that one. We'll hold the rest until we talk with the chiefs. We won't vote on them after that, but we'll get between Len's notes and talking with the chiefs on Wednesday. We'll fill in the blanks and then we'll vote on those lines the next time we're all together and have quorum.
I'm sorry, I missed, which one did you just read?
We just voted on line 48, police expense. That was the only level funded line between police and
Oh,
fire.
here it is, I found it. It says if this department continues to pay, it was under line 48. Actually, it was under line 48 that we just, oh, but he didn't include the 30,000. Okay, so his note for 48, which did not include the additional that he was talking about, so that if the department continues to pay for recruits to go to the police academy, permanent, intermittent, we will have to increase the recruit expense first issue line item by 30,000 to pay for academy costs and expenses for up to 5 new permanent, intermittent police officers. So actually, maybe I was even confused, because he was saying that we pay them salaries, and he wasn't under the impression that anybody else did that, because we were paying for them, we were sponsoring and paying for them to go to the academy.
But that's kind of how I interpreted what you just read, though. It says if we continue to pay.
Well, it sounds like, yeah, see, that doesn't make a lot of sense.
Plus, like, we buy them their running shorts and
No,
books and all that kind of cost?
no, it was,
It says
I took it when I spoke with him as salary, but this says, yeah, that sounds right, actually.
Because it says.
I mean, it's not under salary, it's under expense, but,
Expense first issue. So that's, and I did have a conversation with the administrative assistant about that a couple of years back, because I was surprised we were buying, and the academy says you have to wear this, and you have to, so they were buying Under Armour shorts or whatever, and I'm like, I mean.
how is it $30,000? Like, even if I misinterpreted what he was saying,
5 new, then that's 6,000 per, right?
to go to the academy?
For the equipment.
Oh, for the equipment.
So I'm thinking the books.
Yeah, I guess it is. That's a lot.
It is a little.
Unless he's hiring this is for a slew of parts.
$6,000 for 6 months of
Five.
full-time training?
No, that's just for equipment, for gym shorts and shoes.
For the training.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, that's a
I think
ton.
that should be questioned.
Yeah.
I don't even think it's in there, because he level funded it. He said if we continue to do that, he's going to need an additional 30,000. But that was separate from the salary conversation I had with him, so that's something to hone in on.
We'll have him, and I think it'll be good seeing him to have, because he is new, then
Yeah.
we can parse out what's supposed to go where and
Yeah, the
make
other-
sure we're in the right spot for stuff.
The other major thing is cruiser maintenance, so he said that I think we talked about it actually.
Chief's car?
Yeah, so actually, I think, did capital planning decide to roll in the chief cruiser every 5 years, and
Every three, I think it is.
Is it?
I thought it was every 5.
We wanted to put on the same refresh site.
Yeah.
It was
Well,
every 5.
it was every 5
Yeah,
because of the amount of mileage,
and they were gonna
yeah.
lag, yes.
Yeah.
But I think the fire department had the same thing, where they said that a lot of the stuff that we're supposed to be doing in-house, the mechanics,
They
Yeah.
don't have the skill set.
not the skill set, he's
Or
doing the highway
equipment,
department.
Or the equipment.
Yeah, he's the town mechanic's doing everything else, and the fire department and police are having to sub stuff out to external.
Yeah.
So that was the two of them. The fire chief, I mean, he can talk to it. The public safety piece for emergency management was hiring shelter.
Yeah. Same as last year, but he cut it in half, it looks like,
Yep,
close to it.
yes. Well, Kim's
Last year-
not gonna be there, so I think he was hoping to get some more money. Yeah.
Yeah, well, no, but I mean, last year he asked for 9,500, so this year I think he's.
Oh, okay.
I think, I remember this, he's only, we're gonna have regionalized warming shelters now, but this is basically like if we had to have one in our town for like one day or one night, that would cover it. We don't
Yep.
have to worry about maintaining multiple days, right? Because we're gonna have a regionalized warming center set up.
Right, we actually aren't supposed to have an overnight shelter, they're supposed to
Yeah.
go to, I think, Silver Lake. I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
Or-
But to actually have an EMT there,
Yeah.
and from what I hear, the people who were brought in, some of them definitely need the EMT there, so.
Yep, so that was his item on that. And the only thing else I wanted to mention, the salary. So the only reason I mention it is because I think we just approved or the town approved contentiously like 12.5% increase or something like that. So I just worry that asking for another 4% at this meeting with such a quick turnaround could get
But
contentious.
didn't we set up his basically next 3 years of increases?
Yeah, but we only voted on 1 year, right? I don't think we were held to the next couple of years. The fire chief
Fire
salary?
Yeah, you did. I mean.
1 year or the next several?
It's the next several.
Yeah, we did.
The town-
Yeah, because we asked to get it all the way up to a particular amount, and we said that rather going right there, we'd walk it up.
But at the special? I thought the special just had the next year's amount.
Well, it did, the actual appropriation, but in essence, by approving that, you approved the contract, which included whatever the sums were going to be
get there.
for 20.
Did we have those listed anywhere?
It would have been in the warrant, but we would have discussed, would have been discussed as part of the meeting that night.
I don't remember that. I just remember discussing the initial increase.
No, because I remember us saying like we want to get to here, and this is how we want to do it. And
Yeah, but the warrant didn't have the additional years on it, so I'm surprised we can do that.
Back in the day when we had the union contracts, and we did 3-year contracts with them, the only amount that showed up on the warrant was the amount necessary to fund the contract in that year, coming the first of the 3 years. It did not, I'm making it up, say, to see if the town will raise and appropriate it or transfer available funds, a sum of $50,000 for the police contract for fiscal year 2020, and the police department's going to get or the police union is going to get a 2% increase in 2021, and
Yep.
another 2% increase in 22. That detail never happens.
Right.
Just as the details of anything else besides the actual sum. If I wanted, if you had a contract with the police department, the article at town meeting is to fund, let's say, 50, or come up with 50,000. Maybe they get an additional vacation day. That isn't mentioned in the actual article. But what we've been doing in the past, for the last at least 6 years now, is funding those major contracts. The entire contract gets negotiated except for the pay increases for the second and third years. And we've done that deliberately because during the Great Recession, we ran into a problem that we weren't going to be able to, in fact, fund the contracts that far. It was obvious to us that we couldn't make that commitment. So we've stopped doing that, and I'm sure the unions would come kicking and screaming about it, but nevertheless, that's what we've done. For the fire chief's contract, the board of selectmen's, they talked with you all about this and said, here's what this year's going to be, here's what that year's going to be, here's what the next year's going to be, and that was part of the deal, even though the amount that was at town meeting was simply for the year we're in now, for fiscal 19.
So we get to town meeting and we vote on every line item and people see that it's a higher increase than the rest of the board and they have an issue with it. What then happens?
So, okay, so I'm hypothesizing here because I don't know what the percentages are. Well, let's say for the fire chief, it's a 5% increase from fiscal 19 to fiscal 20. If they say no, then this is me talking, I don't know, I'm not an attorney, I don't play one on TVs, is the chief could leave, I guess that's one possible, because we had said to him, you're going to get this.
Sure.
And he doesn't get it, and we're in violation of his contract. He could sue the town for violating the contract where we promised a certain amount, and he'd be on fairly good grounds. I mean, both sides signed this contract that has these amounts in here. You don't honor the contract, you get prize. Now, if we do that with the police officers, if we guarantee everybody a 2% increase, because it's more than one person, I mean, look at just what happened with Methuen. Until the city council came up with the additional money, they were going to lay off people, because as much as they had guaranteed, if you work for the town, for the city of Methuen, you will receive this pay rate. But there's no guarantee in the contract that you will work for the city of Methuen. But if you do, we'll pay you that. So they could lay all those people off. In essence, we'd be laying off the chief. But at the same time, because it's one person, he might have a much better opportunity to sue the town for failure to meet its obligations under the contract. Because the contract is not with the union, in this case, the contract with is a person.
Right.
So, I mean, that's, that would be if town meeting said suddenly, we want to level fund the fire chief's salary from fiscal 19 to fiscal, I would advise them of that. And probably, if I knew ahead of time that might be a question, I'd either bring in, I'd talk with Michael Gilman to confirm my understanding of that, or we'd have Larry up there on stage and he could either confirm what I'm saying or not. But ultimately, town meeting makes a decision. It may not be a good one. It may not be one that we can, it may be one that puts us in a legal problem. But we have to accept the decision, but then have to deal with the consequences of the decision.
It just seems like a major disconnect from every other process that we have.
It is. I'm not questioning that, in that we've been doing it year to year, even for the fire and police chiefs. And I think the conversation was, we want to have Jason here so much that we're willing to agree to, approve a contract that has salary figures in there for multi-years. And that's what happened.
I just worry because it was so contentious that if people see a further increase, then we're setting ourselves up.
But I mean, the time to ask that question was in August.
Sure, we did, and we were fine with it, but when we got to the town meeting, it barely squeaked through,
But we did talk about that increase.
Yes, we did, yes, but for
No,
people.
we talked about on town meeting floor.
I know, but to have it printed in the warrant and to vote on that warrant, to have that 1 year increase, and then now we're obligated for the next couple of years, even though that line item gets voted on the next year, doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, but if you go to most communities, whether it's union contracts or personnel contracts, meaning for like the fire chief or police chief, those amounts are set in the contract for 3 years. So, when town meeting makes a commitment for the first year of the contract, town meeting is in fact making commitments for the second, third, whatever number of years of the contract. It's, again, we can talk with Larry, we can talk with Michael, but I'm fairly certain that that's the case there. I mean, as we're doing, you can say we're not funding it, but then you lay people off. You're only getting, but with one person, I think you're stuck. And like I said, then you deal with the consequences. If the townspeople say otherwise, great. One of my points to them is going to be this: you violate the terms of the contract, you will spend more money, not just on legal fees, but it was obvious, the town in essence was warned, if you do this, you are violating the contract. It wasn't like, oh, we didn't know what we were doing. No, you knew what you were doing, and you could probably get punitive, if I was Jason, I could maybe get punitive damages, in which triple. So,
I mean, I think a lot of the contention was the fact that we were doing it
At the special.
at a special.
Right. But now that we've done that, and it was contentious, I just worry that it comes up again.
I think that you're probably going to see that it's not going to be challenged, but it's good to look at and be aware of that.
Yeah, it just seems odd that it's not in the warrant, but we vote on it and then we
Right.
just cross
And
our fingers that nobody brings it up at the next one.
That was one of Gordon's things, and it wasn't necessarily even the money that Gordon was worried about, it was always, what, well, did he get a car, did he get this, did he get, a lot of that stuff's in the contract that nobody sees.
Yeah.
A lot of it affects them financially as well.
Yep.
So,
But just as with any of the union contract, if someone said to me on town meeting floor, what are the other benefits and what are the other changes that are in the contract? In fact, I put sheets on that table listing all the changes.
it probably was one of the contracts that was not possible. Yeah, I think that the main contention was the fact that it was being done in the middle.
Yeah, it definitely was. But again, well, some contended that it was too much, which again, we talked about that here.
Yeah.
But I just worry that now that it's come to light and people
Right.
were not happy about it, that if it comes to light again at this one, and now we're on the hook for it, that it, which probably won't happen. But it just seems strange to me that we do everything else
Well,
that way, and this is something that I feel like we have a, maybe not a gaping liability, but it's a, let's hope nobody, has any serious issues.
But I guess, I'm not blaming you or anybody else, but the feeling of the finance committee in the future, for instance, we're going to be negotiating contracts with firefighters, the highway department, and the sergeants for complete, the patrol officers, the wage only, because they're all set. I can't speak too much about it, given that we're in public session, but if, let's hypothetically say that we did agree for whatever reason to wage increases for all 3 years, you would have every right as a finance committee to say, we're in disagreement with approving this contract as it is written. We do not want to approve a contract that gives automatic wage increases for the second and third years. Now, we'll go to town meeting will make the decision.
Yep.
Town meeting said, yes, it's done, second and third years count. Now, they can say no, in which case, the selectmen and the union would go back to the bargaining table and say, hey, town meeting said, like, we can't do this for you. I mean, not our hands are tied, but we're not gonna go back to town meeting and insist on being the second and third years. Let's work on coming up with something that's acceptable to town meeting.
Yep. Okay. Interesting.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'm making a motion to adjourn at 9:31.
I second that motion.
Motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Meeting is adjourned at 9:29 PM. Thank you, everybody.
9:31.